from all these things inside. Cause all my people died, yeah. Jumped in a whip just to take me a ride. Just me and my pipe. Then I rolled me a wood just to ease my mind. To keep from crying, yeah. Jump in a whip just to take me a ride. Roll up just to ease my mind. Remember them nights, them that lost my life. Ain't been the same since bro and them died. Jump in a whip just to take me a ride. Hold up just to ease my mind. Bad bitch and she on the passenger side. Hold up, come and catch this vibe. Jump in a whip just to take me a ride. Roll up just to ease my mind. Remember them nights, them that lost my life. Ain't been the same since bro and them died.
Drew, why you be doing the boys like that, putting them all in their feelings? I don't know. Shit, I can't help it. Nah, cause I be riding in the new whips. Yeah, and shitting on these haters. Yeah. They say I got a problem, huh? Keep banning these foreign whips. Why you doing like that? They say I got a problem, cause I keep a bad bitch. Don't flag. They say I got a problem, huh? Fucking these racks up. Don't do them like that. They say I got a problem, huh? I stay designer down. They say I got a problem, yeah. They say I got a problem. 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 Pulling up a new whips. Yeah, I got a problem. 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 Stay drilled up in the lace. New whip, new bitch. Pockets full, walk with a limp. Ballin' on you niggas like Sean Kemp. New stick, got it on my hip. Stay drip down, keep a bad bitch. My crib, filled with muscle wheels. Young flat nigga, rockin' skinny jeans. Balenciagas on my feet. Pulling up, I'm flicking on them. All the jewelry on me, water dripping on me. My jewels bright, like chandelier, like bad bitch. I ride fat whip, got niggas mad with them sad face. Cause I came up, started from the bottom. No hand out, got it on my own. Was a team player, but they ain't show love. Put the niggas on, team full of boss. I'm a flat nigga, yeah, I stay sauce. Yeah, I stay fly, yeah, it's every day. Yeah, I got a problem, can't hear myself. I fuck out of women, I drive us out of whip. Smoke the best weed, party on yachts. Heard niggas hate, cause a nigga winning. Caught the new whip, got a many feelings. I'm a big dog, pop my shit. Got some young niggas that's with the shit. When I'm in the club, I'm standing out, sitting over attention. My jury loud, it's a light show. Hope I rinse up, just lit it up. About to steady come, all my bitches love me, all my niggas hustle. Don't love these hoes, I ain't with the cuff. They say I got a problem, huh? Keep banning these foreign whips. Why you doing like that? They say I got a problem, cause I keep a bad bitch. Don't flag. They say I got a problem, huh? Fucking these racks up. Don't do them like that. They say I got a problem, huh? I stay designer down. They say I got a problem, yeah. They say I got a problem. 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 Pulling up a new whips. Yeah, I got a problem. 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 Stay drilled up in the lace.
I got a problem, they know that I'm with it. I smoke me an L, but you know that I'm winning. I'm speeding through traffic, they know I'm a risky. It's talking behind me, you know that's a ticket. I rap with my guys, they know I'm a split it. And we not the same, hope you know that we different. You on her back, she want it, she get it. If I start up the cat, hear the roar in the engine. I went and got me a bag. Told my little bitch we gon' run it up. Yeah, heard you and caught you a bag. You ain't built for this life, you keep fucking up. I got a problem in love with the straps. In case you keep thinking about running up. 2 pockets full, had to give me some more. Now 4 pockets full, had to double up.
They say I got a problem, huh? Keep banning these foreign whips. Why you doing like that? They say I got a problem, cause I keep a bad bitch. Don't flag. They say I got a problem, huh? Fucking these racks up. Don't do them like that. They say I got a problem, huh? I stay designer down. They say I got a problem, yeah. They say I got a problem. 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 Pulling up a new whips. Yeah, I got a problem. 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 Stay drilled up in the lace.
From the bottom, but I'm leaving on top. Before I ever put the arm and hammer in the pot. Daddy went home, told mama she could leave me on the block. If a nigga need work done, ain't hard to find. If you pay the right price, I be Johnny on the spot. Paid the plug extras just to fit it with a dot. 50 in the drum, only need 3 shots. I be telling these niggas I'm surgical with it. Ain't trained to be asking, I'm trained to go get it. If it's sustained, then you know I'm gon' hit it. Take nobody with me, don't need co-defenders. No lean in my cup, I don't need codependents. No pills in my blood, just a steal and some gloves. And a steamer that's built and a bitch that's in love. Cause when I need an alibi, that's where I'm gon' be. West side of Chi, that's the home of 2-3. Used to breaking people cars parked at the UC. Fuck them, Chief said stick them, so we stuck them. I was leaning dick to these hoes, I don't love them. Waited long to get to these flows, I was stubborn. Got shit to say, gotta get it off my chest. Used to have to pack a piece to get a piece of mind. I ain't resting in peace now, so a nigga feel blessed.
A nigga from the bottom.
From the bottom, but I'm leaving on the top. Focused on the win, I ain't focused on the op. Made it out the streets, but it still fuck the cops. A nigga from the bottom. From the bottom, but I'm leaving on the top. Used to rise and shine, had to get my proper chop. Keeping one up in the pipe, cause the streets don't stop. If you start some shit, nigga, I'ma finish. Knock a nigga foam off the top like Guinness. Sipping, used to be in Houston, steady tipping. Now I'm out in Cali where these niggas set tripping. I stay in my lane, the streets, man, they put me on game. How real you is, got shit to do with your chain and your watch. Real is what pump through your veins, what you doing when the streets don't watch. Life is a song, keep it moving cause the beat don't stop till they put me in a box. Trying to get a bag, and I'ma get to it with a mic or a mask. If you try to stop me, that's a fight for your ass. Used to put the work in the bags, they was bustin'. If a clucker wasn't smoking, they was dustin'. Had them nodding off like they was sipping Robitussin. About bread bullshit, it ain't about nothing. Niggas still capping for the hoes trying to front. 5 in the cypher, only smoking 1 blunt. No gas in they whip, only 1 clip between them. Got 2 guns, but they don't even clean them. Staying in their mama crib, running where your mama live. If you want smoke, I can bring a whole pack. Pull off with your bitch, let her run through the click, or put half on the Uber just to send the bitch back. A nigga from the bottom. From the bottom, but I'm leaving on the top. Focused on the win, I ain't focused on the op. Made it out the streets, but it still fuck the cops. A nigga from the bottom. From the bottom, but I'm leaving on the top. Used to rise and shine, had to get my proper chop. Keeping one up in the pipe, cause the streets don't stop. A nigga from the bottom. Henry Hunter Homes, granny lived in the reds. 2029, first floor. Used to go to Suda where I did my first show. Then they did me dirty, so a nigga had to go. Transferred to Lundale, used to spell the words. Surrounded by them niggas in the hood with the birds. They was in flocks, dipping in and out of nigga blocks. Rip to the homie J-Rock. From the cradle to the grave, I be trying to get paid. Nigga, I'm a soldier, I ain't dying, no slave. I'm trying to be the ocean, I ain't riding no wave. Man with emotion, I ain't hiding no pain. Gotta make it home to my fam, I ain't dying for a chain. Keep it if you get it. Reaching, I'ma how your brain leaking through your fitted. Came with your life, nigga, bet you ain't about to leave with it. Dig it, niggas won't believe it till they feel it. Keep the iron on me, I conceal it. I ain't copping out, take the time to appeal it. If I was supposed to have it, I could deal it. Pancakes flying off the skillet. Pitching out a Chevy on Billis. Chi-town shit, cause the niggas that I got down with be on king shit, nigga, and our crowns don't tip. You won't catch me hanging around no simps. A nigga from the bottom. From the bottom, but I'm leaving on the top. Focused on the win, I ain't focused on the op. Made it out the streets, but it still fuck the cops. A nigga from the bottom. From the bottom, but I'm leaving on the top. Used to rise and shine, had to get my proper chop. Keeping one up in the pipe, cause the streets don't stop. A nigga from the bottom.
I ran up a motherfucking cake. I ran up a 25K. It only took me 2 weeks. I told her nigga he weak. Moonwalk on the motherfucking beat. I jump out, I'm clapping the heat. These niggas, they whack obsolete. I stomping them out in the weeks. Grandma used to make me stay my ass outside. You know I was raised in the streets. I'm like, bada boop, bada bing. I'm like, get them gone, forget about it. You know that shit not a thing. I know that my brothers gon' die for me like I'ma die for them up, let it sing. Yeah.
Run it. 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 Run it.
Hey, cuz, we never cared on my mama, folks.
That's why we shine wherever we go. 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 Lord, Lord. Welcome to the mind of a pothead. On my head, see a young nigga got dressed. We don't give a fuck what a cop said. I'm living a legacy. So even when I die, I am not dead. Nigga, I am not dead. Fuck with me.
Great afternoon to you, wonderful people. Welcome to this Thursday edition of I Said What I Said. We are live from the What's In It for the Black People Media Studios, probably maybe at some point alongside Tucson Warner. My name is Herb Howard. Each and every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m., we get together right here with you guys. We discuss issues that are currently impacting the black community, how those issues impact us as individuals, and how they impact us as a collective. And along with your help, we talk through many of those issues in hopes of finding the optimum solutions for how we can overcome those issues. Again, overcome them as individuals, but perhaps more importantly, overcome them as a collective. Thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to be a part of this conversation. As always, your input is extremely valued. It is certainly appreciated. Anything you want to add to the conversation, feel free to do so. We will read through as many of your comments as possible while we go through the show. We would kindly request you, please take a quick second to share the broadcast. Share it on your personal page. Share it even within your personal network. Absolutely anyone that you think would add value to or find value in this particular conversation, we welcome them to be a part of the discussion, because we believe that the more like-minded individuals we can get to be a part of the conversation, the better the opportunities we have of reaching those aforementioned solutions. So please take a quick second to share the broadcast. Again, this is I Said What I Said. It is intellectual thuggery at its absolute finest. My name is Herb. Some dude is supposed to be over there. His name is Tu. I'll imagine that'll happen here shortly. Either way, we is rolling. I appreciate y'all so much, man. In the production studio, doing all of the hard work behind the glass. The one and only Ron, really little Ron. What's happening, my brother?
What's the word, bro?
Ain't nothing to it, man. Just another day. Happy to be up in here on this particular Thursday. Just got done chopping it up with brother Sadiq, sister Cassiopeia. And everybody got on their yellow today, man. You got the yellow rocking. Cassie always got some type of yellow rocking, but Sadiq had the yellow rocking. Tu got yellow rocking too. I see y'all asking about Tu. He's not late or nothing. I don't know what's wrong with the boy.
Fraternizing.
Yeah, I don't listen. You know what can you do with him? You know, you can only raise him up so much. Nah, he will be in here in just a second. But I'm feeling good, man. It's a Thursday, and I'm tired though, right? I'm like, so I went to sleep at probably like 6:30 this morning. Huh?
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's probably that sounds crazy, but I don't know. I couldn't sleep, man. Like sometimes I just not able to go to sleep. Like sometimes insomnia just be like, no, we're staying up, and then I don't help. You know what I'm saying? I flick through the channels or turn on, I don't know, some show or Netflix or something. Or I'll play on my phone, and next thing you know, I'm just looking at the hours scroll by 2, 3, 4, 5. Finally, it's like 6 something as I finally decide to, like, I don't know. I just dozed off, and so I was asleep. Then I had to get up shortly thereafter. Not too soon. I got a few hours of sleep then, so I'm good. But just a weird sleep pattern sometimes, man. So
Super weird, man.
it'd be
So
like
what
that.
time you get up? About 12?
It was before then. Probably like, I don't know, probably like 10 something, maybe 11. I slept for a little while, so it's all good. It's all good. I didn't get to catch the Book of Dawn this morning though, man. I usually be hanging out in BOD. Was you in there with your TT?
It was busting.
Decent
show.
Did you say that today?
I think y'all just like saying "Hey, TT."
No, you like saying
because
it.
you're not mocking me. Because I've never once said "Hey." Hey is not even in my vocabulary.
What do you say?
Good morning, TT. It's the morning time.
That's the part that matters to you?
Yeah, because
the hey and the good morning.
Because y'all saying "Hey," that's the part that really matters. I think y'all like saying "Hey." That's kind of.
What's wrong with you, man?
I think y'all just like saying that yourself. Hey, TT, because that's not in my vocabulary. Hey is for horses.
Hey is for horses. Whatever, man. Anyway, didn't get a chance to check that out. Didn't get a chance to check out the Ruthie Moore show earlier today either. And I didn't get a chance to check out Parenting in the Pandemic, man. I was trying to get my life together. And then by the time I woke up, I was watching the Green Side of Things. Had that on YouTube trying to get dressed. But anyhow, a few things we want to get into today, man. I've been following Deion Sanders and what's going on down at Jackson State. Deion Sanders, the Hall of Fame cornerback, in my opinion, the greatest cornerback of all time, one of my absolute favorite football players of all time. Deion Sanders is now the head coach down at Jackson State University. And it's a really, really big deal to me because I think he's going to be able to really kind of rejuvenate that program and bring players that would otherwise go to major 5 conferences, the Ohio States, the Oklahomas, the Alabamas, the Clemsons of the world. And some of those athletes, not all, but some of those athletes will then go down to play for Deion Sanders at Jackson State. He's assembled a phenomenal coaching staff with tons of NFL experience that can certainly get those people to the spot that they need to get to. And so, Deion Sanders is going to be able to get those players to come down there with the full understanding that this is the place that can get them to the next level. And so they're going to be able to go ahead and get to that next level. And Deion Sanders is going to bring them down there. But I like a lot of things that he's doing around the community. He's really kind of ingratiating himself into the community. And one of the things that he's been doing is, one, he's been filming everything that's been going on inside and outside of the program. He's been filming. And so he's been giving you like a sneak peek behind everything that's going on. So you get to see that, like, their new uniforms and how those things are coming along. But also, he has been doing things in the community that are unorthodox. And so he recently he recently went to a family's house for dinner, right? So he just put out this call to the community and said, does anybody want to host me and the coaching staff for dinner? And, a couple families from around the city responded, and they actually went over there for dinner. And it was real, real cool. And it was just like hanging out with your family, hanging out with your cousins, hanging out with your peoples. And so I think what he's doing down there is really, really cool. He's got some good players already. He just released his recruiting class for 2021. Would this be the 2021 class? For the 2021 class. And they've got some really good players who, again, some of which you wouldn't ordinarily expect to be going to Jackson State so much as some of the other major football conference schools. So I think that what he's doing down there ultimately is going to be even bigger than we can foresee it at the time for right now, right? So I think that as long as he's able to continue to get a couple of those, 4-star, 5-star athletes to come to Jackson State, then I think that it's going to really start to send messages to not only these predominantly white institutions, but to the other prep athletes that are coming up through high school and being recruited heavily to say, no, I don't. Maybe I can go to Howard or go to Jackson State as opposed to going to wherever, Michigan or Michigan State, and so Ohio State. So I think that this could be a really, really cool thing, and he's already got some players. His own sons are there, and his son. Yeah, his son committed. One came over from like South Carolina, and then his son, who was going into college, goes there. He's a quarterback, and he's like 6'4", 6'5", stud athlete. And so they're getting some players there that are gonna allow them to be not only competitive in their conference, but it's gonna allow them to be competitive on a national level. Not so much like they're going to be competing with Alabama anytime soon, because what the likes of Alabama does is not so much that, they have the best 11 players on the field, although oftentimes they do, right?
Alabama?
Oh, yeah, oftentimes they do. But I'm saying even if that's not the case, right? So you take like Oklahoma, Alabama just beat the brakes off Ohio State in the national championship game. The best 11 players from Ohio State are just as good as the best 11 players from Alabama, right? It's the next group, right? Alabama's second team is just as good as your first team. Their third team is just as good as your first team. And that's what they just wear you down over the course of a game. You can't play 70 snaps in the game. So when your running back has to come out, it's a significant drop off in talent. They roll their number one running back out, and the second running back might be better than him. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's not even fair. You look at some of their team pictures at Alabama from the past 4 or 5 years, and just look at the running backs that were all on the team together. You talk about Derrick Henry from the Tennessee Titans. You talk about Mark Ingram, who won the Heisman. Derrick Henry, who won the Heisman. You talking about T.J. Yeldon. You talking about all these dudes like that are just phenomenal running backs, all on the same team at the same time. And so that is where a team like Alabama separates themselves. Not that that first group can't compete. It's that your second group doesn't even belong on the field with them. And
So, I support what Deion is doing, but this is another conversation, and it's happening around basketball too, because there's the same kind of push is happening around going to black colleges, right? But the conversation becomes, all right, a 5-star athlete goes wherever he goes, right? Cameras are gonna follow.
Yeah.
Thon Maker, for example,
Right.
right? Thon Maker goes to what was it, Howard or Hampton? One of them.
McCour Maker.
Yeah,
Thon Maker,
McCour
somebody
Maker.
else.
Yeah, right. McCour Maker. I'm sorry, his brother.
Yeah.
But what happens was he has a game where he loses to, I don't know, some other black college. And his numbers is like 11, 5, and 4.
Right.
Bad numbers.
Right. Not blowing nobody out the water.
Not
with that.
blowing nobody out the water. But the expectation is if you're a 5-star athlete and you come to this school, you should be having 40-point games. You know what I mean? If you get 11, 5, and 6 at Kentucky, the mindset is you on the court with five-star athletes.
Yeah, for sure.
So one, you got to share the ball. Two, you're not gonna have that many touches. So that should be your stats.
Right. I'm not expected to carry this team
I'm not
solely.
expected to carry this team, right?
Right.
So in a lot of ways, the dynamic is still the dynamic. So in order for this to be real, like in order for the black college conversation to be real, it has to be a migration from the vast majority of black athletes instead of going to those top tier, predominantly white schools. They're gonna have to make a movement of athletes going to these black colleges for it to be valuable, because what they're going to be doing, and this goes back to the beach quote too, they're going to be sacrificing a lot because we got to be clear about what this means though, right? The PWIs, the top tier schools, and the root rankings, and a lot of that's politics, right? You can run up on a park in Chicago, it's going to have an athlete that a dog walk some of them cats. It just is what it is. So you go to them black colleges thinking it's sweet, and it's not 5 McDonald's All-Americans on the court or on the field.
Right.
You can get your issue.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because Lil J Maul from back alley Arkansas, who just didn't get no press,
He can't wait to
got
put 30
game.
on you.
He can't wait to show you how real it is.
Can't wait for Kentucky to run the hill and let us
Can't
drop
wait
30 on
for
him.
you to show up on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it could go either way. You know what I mean? But it also shines a light on, how false that concept is, that construct is. You get that light because you at that place. That don't mean you that guy. You know what I mean? I think in a lot of ways when you look at Steph is from Davidson, G. Who comes out of Davidson?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And
And you come from a basketball
arguably
family.
the number one point guard in the NBA right now.
Right, for
You know
sure.
what I mean?
Right.
Undersized, everything.
Yeah.
Gonna give you that work though.
Work.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Had he didn't show up in the tournament,
Yeah.
we'd have never heard of Steph.
Yeah.
And he's legitimately, arguably, at least top 3 point guards in the NBA.
Yeah, him and Dame are the only people worth having a conversation at this point, in my opinion. No disrespect to some of the other guys, but Steph and Dame are a cut above the rest right now in terms of point guard play in the league. I think that while it may take some time to get that whole sweeping commitment from the majority of the premier high school athletes from the black community to go to those schools, but I think it has to start somewhere, and I think that there's no better start than to, one, just go down there with a dude like Prime, right? He's
Yeah.
he's prime. Like he's
He's
not
prime,
just
right.
he's not just the
Must
best
be the
cornerback
money.
ever, right? Like that's one thing. That's extremely valuable. He's the best cornerback to ever play the game. But he's also prime though. Like so his persona carries a certain kind of weight, a certain kind of bravado that just says, I want to be around dude. Like he walk into your living room like, man, you going to play for Nick Saban? Come on, man. Come play for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come play for me. Nick Saban ain't never half-stepped nobody from 80 yards. That's me. You know what I'm saying? Like, Prime can do it in a way that even if you had, like, take another great corner, say like a Sean Springs or a Champ Bailey or I want to say Charles Wilson, but I think Charles Wilson is closer to that, what I'm talking about. But you take like a Champ Bailey or a Darryl Green or a Sean Springs, some of those guys like that who were phenomenal football players, some of the greatest corners to ever do it, but they don't have the personality that Prime brings. So he can bring first of all, I'm the GOAT. Second of all, I'm the coolest dude you ever seen play this game. Like, to this day, nobody's ever been cooler on the football field than Deion Sanders. And so you see him out there being that same dude with I see y'all talking about CP3 and Kyrie and Russell and Russ and all them cats. They raw. But Dame and Steph cut above all of them right now. But Prime was like he had this saying, you look good, you feel good. You feel good, you play good. You play good, you get paid good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was
The
that
man
was
had
Prime.
a rap video, J.
Yeah. Like,
See, this is the difference between having Ron in the studio and having Sonya in the studio. As soon as we would say Prime, must be the money when it came on.
of course.
You know,
But,
he'll
you know,
adjust.
He's Ron. He's
Ron.
not Esco.
You're right.
You know how I know you gay?
He's not Esco.
Ron. You're right.
But I'm saying that to say, like, so a lot of like athletes today, and I guess forever, really, care about what they looking like on the field and how the uniforms look. And so Deion's like, look at our uniforms. He didn't came out, so he was on Instagram the other day showing the new uniforms and all that. And they got 6-7 different colorways for how they gonna hit the field and make sure they swagged out. And that matters when you walk into a 16-year-old's living room, 17-year-old, and say, man, what we gonna put on? Because Oregon ascended themselves into a top 10 program perennially
jerseys and shoes
because of their jerseys and shoes. Okay? Oregon said every single game we're gonna roll out a brand new uniform that nobody else can mess with. We got the Nike facility in our backyard. Phil Knight is an alum. You're not touching us on the uniforms.
can't touch it.
You're not touching us on the uniforms. You're not touching us in the locker room. Their locker room is A1, better than the NFL locker room. You know what I'm saying?
Whatchamacallit, Big Boy's son plays for Oregon football.
Yeah.
And they, on his Instagram page a while back, they were showing like the tour when he was going down there.
It's not a game.
Room.
It's not a game.
Serious,
No, it's not a
You
game.
thought that was the NFL.
It's not a game. If Oregon brings you in for an official visit, the chances of you leaving without signing are minimal, fam, because you're going to be so impressed by what they have to show you. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at what we got. And they got your name on all 17 of these jerseys. You're going to wear this one week 7 against Alabama. You're going to wear this one week 8 against USC. We on national TV week 9, you're going to put this one on. Like, and it's like, that matters. And so Prime is down there trying to set that tone because Prime was swag personified on the field. Like, he looked it, he walked it, he talked
Prime
it.
has access too, though.
He has extreme access.
Right, so he can go get money from other places.
Yeah.
Right, open up other revenue streams instead of having to depend on the school itself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And he's already doing that.
Right, so that's going to open up the door. So I salute what Prime is doing, man, and I salute the athletes who are taking those chances.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but until it is a movement
Mm-hmm.
in regards to like career path,
Mm-hmm.
if your values are in black mobility and black upward progression,
Mhm.
I support you 100%.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm rocking with it. And as a man, I stand with you.
Right.
But if your values is getting to the show, it got to be a movement.
For sure. But I'm saying I'm thinking that both can happen though. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
I'm thinking you can do both. So it can be about, black progression, and it can be about I'm getting to the league. And that's what I'm saying. That's where the value of a Deion Sanders comes into this equation. This is a dude who is the best to ever do it. This is a dude who's a Hall of Famer. This is a dude who's been working for NFL Network since he retired. This is a dude who has all kind of connections through the National Football League. This is a dude who can pick up the phone and say, hey, coach, that used to coach me, or hey, coach, who I used to play with, or hey, wide receiver that I used to lock down every week. I got a kid that y'all got to come see. Like, and you coming to see him because it's Prime. Like you coming to see him because he know what he's talking about. You know what he's looking at, and he does it in a way that is super super fire. So like you talking about him bringing in money, he's got the new Cadillac endorsement deals, and they've just come through to upgrade their.
I can't stand him, G.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Now he plays the song. It took him 7 minutes to find the song, and then he just throws it in.
And then it was looking like, you see me, right?
You see me? You see me? Y'all hear it? Yeah, we hear it. What is that? What's wrong with the man? But no, he's bringing in the money. He's upgrading the facilities, and he's got a long way to go. Let's be clear. The weight room at Jackson State ain't the weight room at Alabama. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a long way to go. You still got some rusted 45-pound plates in there and all this other. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same. But they coming. And I think they'll get there. So
since we talking football real quick, and I know this ain't the bigs, but we just had the Super Bowl, right? And Britt Reed, the coach that had the drunk driving accident.
Okay.
Like, why is that not a bigger story?
I don't even know about it.
So they mentioned it during the Super Bowl.
Okay. Whose coach is he?
Kansas City.
Okay. Andy Reid? You saying his son?
His son.
Oh, his son is a lifetime screw up.
Yeah, but he was drunk driving.
No, he's a lifetime screw up.
Girl.
I know.
But it's not like a national conversation.
No, I think one of his sons like OD'd and died.
I just think I don't even think it's interesting, to be honest. It just shows the difference in how media responds.
No, it does. That matters, right? How that's not a story. But his sons have had issues forever. Constant run-ins with the law. He's constantly had to get them out of trouble. And if I'm not mistaken, and if I am, I apologize. I don't want to be speaking this on nobody if that's not the case. But I'm almost certain that one of Andy Reid's sons died of a drug overdose. I think. Let me check that. Ron, can you look that up, man? Ron, thank you. Andy Reid.
Get that tomorrow.
Yeah, that'll come through.
Maybe tomorrow.
Next relationship Friday.
Right.
Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints. Nah, but yeah, he's always had issues. But when you got that kind of, you got that kind of coverage, that kind of support to fall back on, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine Doc Rivers being in the championship game and Austin Rivers do something outrageous, even if he wasn't on your team.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Think about how much news coverage that would be getting.
It's a thing.
Yeah, I just think that's interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's just different. It's different for them people, man.
It's different.
It's different.
Garrett Reed.
Huh?
Garrett Reed.
Yeah.
That's the other son?
That's the son. Yep.
Overdose?
Yeah, Gino just confirmed that too. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, Gary Reed, he died from an overdose. And his other son, like his sons, they been had issues, man. And listen, you talk about being an NFL coach for 30-some years. I'm trying to tell you, Andy Reid ain't seen them boys. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't know them niggas. Is what I'm trying to tell you.
No, I get it.
Like, and that's not to say he don't love them. I'm not saying he's a bad father, none of that, right? But it is to say that you wasn't really there, fam. Like, the demands of an NFL coach are great. Like, during the season, I'm dead ass, you don't see them, right? So they ain't, like, that's not even hyperbole, like, during the season. During the season, an NFL coach is generally at the team facility before 6 a.m. The head coach, the offensive coordinator, which Andy Reid has been at that level for all of their lives, right? At least an offensive coordinator going back to his days with, like, the Green Bay Packers when he was coaching Brett Favre. Quarterback, that staff, let me tell you about that staff. The Green Bay Packers staff, when Brett Favre was there, when Mike Holmgren was their head coach, they had Andy Reid on that staff. They had Steve Mariucci, who went on to coach the San Francisco 49ers on that staff. John Gruden was on that staff. One other, like, famous head coach was on that. That staff was ridiculous. But anyway, Andy Reid has been putting in those types of hours throughout the season. You get there before 6 a.m., them coaches not leaving until 10, 11 o'clock at night. And they just going home. Shower, eat, sleep. I'm back at the facility at 6. I'm telling you, he ain't seen them boys. Not during the season. Mm-hmm. And during the season it's not just week 1 to week 16. First of all, Andy Reid's always been on good teams, from the Packers to the Eagles to the Chiefs. So his season goes deep into January, and it starts regular season in September. But training camp is a month before that, all the way going to back the end of July. Then you got spring training. You got all leading up into the draft. Like, there's just not a lot of time. There's not a lot of family time left, is all I'm saying. So there's a lot of things he missed. You know what I'm saying? And so you think your boys is fine until you like, he got arrested. What, you found coke all in his room.
Yeah, that's a different conversation, man. In the sense of why I'm going with it, because, you know, at the same time, you know, as a man, what's your goal? Your job is to be a provider and protector. Mm-hmm. So he's holding that part down in whatever capacity he can hold it down in. You know, we live in a transactional society. It is what it is. So I'm sure he provided them with all the luxuries that the football coach could provide their family with. But at the end of the day, you know, the way the media responds to that situation, you know, that was a baby girl that got killed in that situation. Mm-hmm. Had that been any black coach with any black son, he could have been estranged from that son for 30 years.
Yeah, it's different.
If he was in the Super Bowl, that would have been a topic of conversation.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? And I just think it's interesting. Like, they even after the Super Bowl, I heard it being talked about in the sense that they didn't make no adjustments because his mind wasn't on the game. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which could be the case. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't know. But either way, though, they're talking about it from I only heard it like briefly in the game, and I haven't heard it really since the game. Yeah. It's not a conversation. Yeah. And I just know they wouldn't let a black coach lay that down.
Nah, they wouldn't do that. Andy Reid has a lot of respect, and he's white. You know what I'm saying?
It's a different world.
Yeah, it's a different world. Yeah, Dick Geron and Ray Rose on that staff too. They was on the defensive side of that staff. I was just talking about the guys that was around the offense on that staff and the way they was able to put that thing together. But that's why I was also mentioning the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had 10 black coaches on their staff this year. Because again, once the team has that kind of success and they win a Super Bowl, other teams tend to pluck the coaches away from that staff to elevate them. And so I would expect to see some of that from this particular staff and see some of those players getting those some of those coaches getting those opportunities. Obviously, we'll see. All of those coaches I was talking about that was on that Packers staff were white coaches, and so they move on up. Ray Rose was a black coach, and he did ultimately be. I know he was DC in Philly. He might have been. I think Ray Rose was actually head coach in Philly for a couple of years, probably right before Andy Reid, in fact. But anyway, you know,
you got my computer up over here.
Yeah.
I want you to see this image.
You got to connect your Bluetooth.
I ain't playing no sound right now, but I will later on. I just want to show the image. You seen this image? I saved a bunch of them.
It is up on the screen so everybody can see it right now. No, what am I looking at?
So I'm gonna go through them. So yesterday, I come home and this woman is all over social media. She's everywhere. Right.
Okay.
And I didn't know who she was.
I don't recognize her either, but there's a mask on her face.
Right. Look good though.
Oh, she looks very good.
So then I find out who she is. Mm-hmm. Right. She's Stacey Plaskett, and she's the House manager for the Trump impeachment. I haven't been paying attention to the Trump impeachment like that. I was at least not watching it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But she was all over social media yesterday, and it was mostly black women that was posting her up. And it was a few black men too. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then it turned into, ooh, look at my Sora. She doing that. She doing this. And they gave the price of the outfit. I'm like, man, who is this woman?
Say she showed up wearing a cape to defend our democracy.
But this tweet says, I know it's superficial as hell, but I'm kind of loving it. The House manager, Stacey Plaskett, shows up wearing a cape to defend our democracy. But the other tweets were just talking about how good she looked. Mm-hmm. Right? New star emerges out of the Trump impeachment process. Stacey Plaskett, because look at her outfit.
Who is she though?
She's from the Virgin Islands.
Okay.
Right? I forget her actual official title. But my point is, this goes to the Kamala Harris. This goes to the Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. Mm-hmm. It's just she walked her way into fame or into validity.
Because she looked nice?
Because of her outfit.
Well, I think that part of it is just going to, like, sometimes we just going to show up. And just us showing up the way that we show up, it's kind of just going to take the attention. When I looked at it, I was like, Yeah, she looks nice. I have no idea who she is, but she looks nice. I noticed that too. And I think that sometimes when we just show up, our presence, our swagger, our appearance just kind of, I'm tweaking, my bad, just kind of, I don't know, it kind of just fills the room, if you will. And so sometimes we become victims of our own swag. And so, did she mean to lead with her clothes? Maybe, but we kind of all do.
I don't think she meant to leave with her clothes at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just how shallow our interests are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In this time of political turmoil, where they about to do a referendum on House Bill, what's the HR 40?
Right.
That's next week.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When we had conversations around reparations being our only outlet at this point. And when it comes to politics, this is what we're interested in. What clothes do they have on? Like Chucks and Pearls became a theme. When Michelle Obama showed up in her monochromatic, I didn't even know that word in regards to clothes, coat at the inauguration. That was the topic of conversation. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying nothing wrong with being fresh, right? We that is a theme in our community, right? It's amazing how intertwined the story of cotton is in our life.
That's real spill.
Because we still slaves to the shit.
That's real spill.
I owe $1.
Yeah, I go get the thing.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But this is what we respond to. Mm-hmm. Like that conditioning is so real, like we still respond to cotton.
We do.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Cotton is still the boss.
All right, it is.
I just think it's interesting that, and not even interesting, man. We should be trying to move away from this concept of symbolism, over substance. But every day there's something new that shows me that we're just not there.
How are we gonna do it on that level, right? How are we gonna do it on this national black liberation level when we can't do it on the everyday I walk into a room level, right? Every day we walk into a room and I don't care where you are, you at a lounge, at a restaurant, you walk in that space and you start evaluating people based off the superficial crap that you can see, right? Their clothes. I'm evaluating these people off of this, right? Like how valuable they are, just based off this. And we do it all the time. And so I don't know if it's even a realistic expectation to think that we aren't going to do it at the vice president level or the first lady level or the house manager level. It's just kind of how we move. And unless it's an internal thing, G. Like if we don't fix it at the internal level on an individual basis, that's not going to change. It's going to be like that. Like for the majority of people. And if you're not on that, first of all, great. Please don't become like that or go back to being like that. Because I think for the most part, we probably were all like that at some point, just because that's how America teaches you to be.
But I think it's something different though, right? We're in an era where people are legitimately famous for being famous. Mm-hmm. Right? There's no
talent there.
There's nothing anchoring them in. There's nothing attached to them. They're legitimately famous for being famous, mm-hmm. which is idiotic. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like we look at the Kanye white family?
The Kardashians?
The Kardashian family. And I'm not even talking about the one that's married to Kanye.
All of them. I don't know what any of them do.
Younger sister, I don't know if she's the youngest or what.
I don't know what any of them do.
Yeah, I don't know what they do either, but the youngest one drops a makeup thing and she makes $1 billion in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she's famous for being famous.
Yeah, and that comes with a lot of power.
Right? There's no talent attached to it. There's no thought attached to it. She's famous for being famous. And we're moving into this kind of
Adrian Anderson, what's up, OG?
Where that becomes the normal or the standard, right? And for it to be a Kardashian or internet celebrity, I don't really trip. Who cares, right? Because what bearing does that have on my life?
Right.
That's my view. And even that view might be an arrogant view. Because what bearing does that have on my daughter's life when they grew up in a world where the internet has so much influence? Right. You understand what I'm saying? But when that becomes how we relate to people who govern our existence, I'm afraid of that. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid of that. And it's nonstop.
But I mean, what I'm saying is if it's happening at the Kylie Jenner level, right, then why wouldn't it happen at the Miss Basket level? You know what I mean? Like, Kylie raising these girls.
Salim says humans can't dismiss symbolism, with symbolizing creatures. Example: words, symbols, culture is just a cascade of symbolic meaning. I'm with it. Well, let's find some value in that symbol, right? Because we looking at picture books and won't read the words, and that part of it I can't understand. You know, that part of it I can't grasp. You know what I mean? People say I don't necessarily. I'm not a fan.
That's real spill though. Everything is just a symbol.
I'm not a fan of Barack, right?
Yeah.
But you can't take nothing from Barack. Barack is cold. Barack is intelligent. Barack is articulate.
Yeah.
He's very. He presents himself in a very relatable way. Like he got all the fixings, right? I could accept getting duped by Barack. You know what I'm saying?
I've been beat by worse.
He got all the trappings.
Right.
Right? But I can't get beat by, I ain't even gonna say no names, but somebody with a Barack costume on.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we're getting beat. It's the demand is less and less every day. All you gotta do is show up in the outfit now and you the guy. It's like the dude who wears the whole hooping suit to the gym. When we was young, you're never getting picked.
Yeah, but too, if that's all I want, though, you know what I'm saying? If all I want is to look like the fresh dude on the court, then the fresh dude on the court is the person I'm following. Not the dude who's out here getting buckets. Not the dude who's out here really hooping.
Yeah, that's a clown move.
That's not even my aspiration. And so the same thing here. Like, if it's not really my aspiration to be a leader in the community or at the forefront of the Black liberation movement, right? Or even just playing my role within it, that's not my aspiration. And my aspiration is only to have on the right clothes, drive the right car. Then the person who has on the right clothes and is driving the right car is the person that I'm going to follow because that's who I'm trying to be. And this person over here that's trying to lead the community and say how we need, I'm not even trying to be that. So why would I follow that person? It's like if I'm trying to go to NFL and I'm following a baseball player.
I get it. It's still stupid.
It is stupid.
Right? It's still stupid. You can eat junk food all your life. You surely could do that.
But it's stupid at the root is what I'm saying. And trying to cut it off at the suit is too, like, the suit is just, that's the little trinket that they're trying to get to. The issue is why they want the suit instead of the freedom. You know what I mean?
Or the thought, or anything, or the value, or the talent, because it's famous for being famous. All of that is useless, right? I could think of.
You can do both. That's what prime time comes in.
I salute it, but what I'm
dressed
saying
head
is
to toe,
we're
and he's the best player on the field.
Like we have, when we look at the kids today, right? And I'm not a super fan of their genres of music, right? But they separate their genres of music. People say, my son, I've heard him say it. He's a swag rapper. What does that mean?
It means It means we don't have to hold him accountable for what he's saying. It's not about that.
Look the right way.
Yeah,
that's clown stuff, bro.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying is, we as adults are making the same kind of decisions, right? With people who hold the keys to the outcomes of our lives. Yeah, that's dumb. I don't care how you justify it.
I'm not justifying it.
I ain't saying you. I'm saying whoever.
I'm agreeing.
The fact that image was plastered all over social media because of, and she was validated because of, it's stupid. It's very surface, it's very shallow, and it's very stupid.
Yeah, but it's good for her stylist.
It's good for her career. It's going to elevate her career. It's going to elevate her stature.
Her stylist finna blow up.
Yeah, it's going to elevate her stature, though.
It is.
Absolutely. It already has.
It matters.
I didn't know her name yesterday.
It matters.
You know what I mean? It
matters.
already has. So when we, at that point, when you start to move like that, at some levels, it's like, man, when you get what you get. You deserve what you get. And that's sickening.
What's so interesting about that is that somehow we still revere and respect those amongst us who don't capitulate in that way, right? Who don't lean into the role or the.
Do we though?
We do.
I don't think so.
I'll give you the greatest example that I can think of in my lifetime.
Okay.
Allen Iverson. Never once did none of that. He's like, man, I don't. Who's supposed to come to the press conference in a 3-piece suit? That's what Jordan and them do. Let Jordan and them do it. I'm showing up, jeans, hoodie, Tim, chains, do-rag. That's how I'm coming. And everybody loves AI though.
As a representation of our community. Right?
Yes, everybody loves AI for that. Huh?
Then what the NBA do?
What do you mean?
They changed the rules because of that.
No, AI never came to a press conference dressed like any of these other dudes, bro.
But the NBA changed the rules because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because of his imagery.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So 10 years later, no, not 10, 20 years later, now we get Russell Westbrook. You understand what I'm saying? It's the level of conformity, right? Because it's a progression, but it's continuous. It's a continuum. The game never stops, right? So again, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, Tina Turner was beautiful. Shaka Khan was beautiful, right? Same thing. You got one of the requirements you got to be a songstress today. Beautiful,
Mandatory,
right?
Unfortunate,
but they was also backed by talent.
Can't sell this. You're
right?
ugly.
But 30 years later, you just got to be beautiful. You don't need talent. Where are we going with this?
Yeah, I mean, once you start going down that road, you're going down that road. And so it used to be just about your talent. And so you could be.
It wasn't just about, because even they had to be beautiful.
Yeah, but I'm saying you could be a more full-figured woman, right? Or you could be a darker-skinned woman, and your talent could speak for you, right? But then once you start to kind of tailor that thing down the road of you must look like this, then it just takes off, and then what you look like now supersedes your ability, and so you get the Mayas of the world. You know what I mean? Like Maya can't sing, fam. Ashanti can't sing, but they are great to look at. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, we could get you a beat, we make a little track, whatever, we good, right?
So they can
We're
manufacture
selling
whoever they want to manufacture.
exactly,
Right?
exactly. I don't have to find the next Whitney Houston. I just got to find some cute girl coming running around. You know what I'm saying? Give her a new car, a couple trinkets she ain't never had before. Now I run her around the whole entire globe for 5 years until she used up.
And that might be around. And that might be around. But again, going back to them being songstresses, right? That has no real validity in my life. I could care less. It don't matter one way or the other, right? But when you start getting that same kind of idealism around politicians, right? And you can just create them as you go, then who do we really have representing us? How can we find trust in any of those figures? And that's where we kind of find ourselves at today. Right? I said it's one thing to be duped by Barack. We was duped. Now, after you saw what he did, if you was paying attention,
Right.
you had to reconsider the choice you made. I voted for him twice, right? And I still would have voted for him. You know what I mean? Because of the symbolism of it, flat out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Flat out.
Yeah.
But I still had to, come to terms with myself, saying, I know this dude ain't
We ain't really
about
getting
me.
nothing out of this,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? This ain't really for me. You know, but coming to this Kamala Harris, and I know it's not the Kamala Harris administration, but that's why we casted our vote, right? Well, I've seen this
Chucks and pearls,
story
baby.
before. You know what I'm saying? I've seen this play out before. That's not really how I want to rock right now. It failed me the last time we made this move. And no disrespect to Kamala, but she ain't Barack. Even in her style,
Right. I know what you mean.
presentation. You know what I mean? She's not as skilled as equipped as Barack was.
Yeah.
So I got duped by the best and realized I was duped. I shouldn't be getting beat again by a third string team.
You're missing it, though, G. The majority of people aren't even seeing it as being duped. They're standing on what they got behind in the first place. He go, a black dude, he's got swagger, I like him. It's not deeper than that. It's not going into his policy. It's not going into his legislation. It's not going into his.
It's not even going into his conversation. Because if you pay attention to this conversation, he was like, hey, I'm a centrist.
What I need to pay attention to this conversation for? All I need to do is watch him walk across the stage so I can say, look at his swag. Okay?
I'm going to get a haircut and give me a
Listen,
tan suit. Then, I'm finna
Michelle?
get elected somewhere then. I'm sick of this.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's not that deep. And so they not looking at it in retrospect. They weren't even looking at it in real time. It's like nah. It's just is what it is. And so while we can sit here and say, yeah, I voted for him just because he was black, we were also in tune to what he was doing. You know what I mean? But most people no, that's not the case. And so no, I'm not looking back on it feeling like I got duped at all. It is what it is.
Yeah, well, the Jews walk willingly. That's like if you're a Jewish person walking willingly into a gas chamber. That's really what you're doing. You're willingly taking a step toward the gas chamber.
I agree with you.
Yeah, that's dumb, bro.
That is absolutely dumb. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have more conversation on the other side. His name is Tu. My name is Herb. This is I Said What I Said.
WIFTV-PM.
We expect all of our teachers to come to school tomorrow, all of the CTU members, and those who do not report to work, but we're going to have to take action. Let's get a deal done. And that's the message that I gave to Jesse Sharkey.
Dr. Janice Jackson. Dr. Jackson, welcome back to the Maze Jackson Show.
I'm not going to get into whether or not this is political or not. My focus is on education. I want to be clear to all the listeners. I believe in my heart 100% students should be in school. I am a parent. My child goes to a Chicago public schools. I'm not asking parents or giving them an option to do something that I wouldn't do for myself. And I would not send students, my child or anybody else's child, back into a building if I didn't think it was safe. I think the harm that is being done by students not being in class every day is irreparable. Our kids were already struggling. They were struggling when they were going to school every day. Now, all of a sudden, remote learning is magical and kids are okay. That is simply not true. We got kids out here who aren't in good situations. We got kids out here who are finding other ways to occupy their time, and they belong in school. So let's start with that. If not now, when? So at what point is it okay to return to the buildings? We have to shift away from should they be in school and talk about how to do it and do it safely. Hold me accountable for doing it safely. But I am never going to be comfortable with kids being out of school. It's been almost a year.
We out west with it, where we live illegal, leaning off a leader, riding regal, tipping scales like Libras. Inhale, no L's, pulling out blocks like Jenga. In the rear of a Caprices, Billy Rims, flicking decent nonetheless. Nothing less than tens for the speakers. You'll hear us before you see us with beats that beat the streets up. Yeah. So try and keep up and keep it low key, cuz police try and treat us and keep us on a leash, cuz that's how they see us, thinking we nuts. Cuz we'll die for the ground beneath us, because this land made us. This land made of players that stay on paper. That's how we came up amongst the mayhem to the day when we display what we made of. The game could never change us. The West Side teaches on these streets where you find that D before G. We out west with it, back down, trying to flip a dollar. If you looking, then we got it. You just got up in a block. We out west with it, riding clean, wetter than the sea. On the scene with a full tank, blowing AC. We out west with it. I'm posted. Let me know what y'all on, cause if y'all get on something, then just hit my phone. We out west with it. Yes sir. Hustle for every penny in the trenches, but we turn struggle into strength. Smell the grind in the air, take a whiff. Only the nose knows the aroma. Compose the money rolls that fold up, holding cold cups. Searching for those that got the purple O's for the $4. And we can go nuts and stay at the store like grocers, and post up with O's on the table like coasters. It's how the game coached us, made us all in the soldiers. Now that dough is the focus, so know that we own this. Molded by the hood role models, riding good, the latest model, drinking good, raising bottles like we just missed a pothole. You got to know that it's impossible to stop our flow. We've seen it all from watching cops reload 30s a dro while drinking the night away until the block got slow. You'll know as soon as you see us, we the ones laid back in the cut. My demeanor seems to always give me up. We out west with it, back down, trying to flip a dollar. If you looking, then we got it. You just got up in a block. We out west with it, riding clean, wetter than the sea. On the scene with a full tank, blowing AC. We out west with it. I'm posted. Let me know what y'all on, cause if y'all get on something, then just hit my phone. We out west with it. Yes sir. Hustle for every penny in the trenches, but we turn struggle into strength. Yeah, home of the survivor, survival of the fittest in the town. It's wicked, you could J down in a minute. What am? What's the business? The biz is how you down to get it. From Cape Town to Fifth City, the sounds of Fifth's empty. When we tipsy, it's risky. Where the lick be, at least 10 deep. It tempts me, but there's no mystery. Where the chips be, the tips G. Just our history from the 60s. Pimping ain't easy, but we bleed it. This here game is in our veins, in the air we breathe in. Believe this, it's no game, but the key is your mouthpiece, spit your game. But believe, turn nothing into something. We suffer without supper long enough. Struggling from summer to summer, the same place where the dope is sold. It's home to the Oprah show, the same place I know is home. We out west with it, back down.
Trust no nigga named Mohammed. Nigga, we didn't
My grandmama and them like Cassius Clay. They didn't like Muhammad Ali. When that nigga changed his name to Muhammad Ali, they went loving Joe Louis and Joe Frazier. Nigga, they ain't give a damn. Yeah, nigga, fuck you. You Muslim nigga. Nigga, we don't give a where I'm from. I ain't never heard Farrakhan's speech. Yeah, nigga, where I'm from, Farrakhan ain't no hell of a motherfucker, nigga. His hair too good. And where I'm from, we don't pay you Muslim niggas no attention. All you niggas had to go to prison, nigga, to be Muslim. Yeah, nigga, my mama ain't never been to prison. What the fuck I'm gonna listen to a nigga, he went and found his God in jail. Nigga, that's only good for jailhouse niggas. I don't want you niggas Muslim God. And fuck the Muslim community. I don't give a fuck about no bow tie, bean pie wine, eating ass nigga.
Don't you know, my teacher, Elijah Muhammad, taught me one day. He said there once was a donkey that fell in the ditch. And everybody came along, they picked up a stone and threw it at the donkey. They threw so many stones till the ditch got filled up and the donkey walked out. So my teacher said, brother, remember, every knock is a boost.
I am not raised to kill black people. I don't care how ugly our people act, how ignorant they are. I love them. I love the dope seller, and I love the dope user. I don't love the dope, nor the means that they've chosen to make a livelihood. There's a better way. I love the pimp, and I love the prostitute. There's a better way. And until we show our people a better way, we don't have any right to condemn them.
Right. Like I was saying yesterday. Don't wake me up unless y'all doing something better than sleep.
The robber, the thief, the hustler. You look at them as the worst of the people. I'm telling you, they're the best of the people. But they don't know it yet. Just clear away the garbage from the pimp, and you got a powerful man. Clear away the garbage from the drug seller, the drug kingpin, the hustler, the gangster, and you got a powerful soldier. Somebody has to do the work of clearing away the garbage from our people. You don't get in garbage and don't come out with some of it on you. Somebody got to do that job. That's what you came to join with me to do. Then don't ask me to kill my people because they don't like me. Don't ask me to hurt them because they speak evil against me. So what? We can overcome their evil talk with good deeds as long as they don't make the move. Now, if they make the move, we don't turn no other cheek. We may not have another one to turn. You've got to fight with those who fight with you. But on the inside of the nation, there are those of us who appear as enemies. And we are not enemies in the real sense of the word, but we're enemies by the way we act toward one another. Jesus had it right. That kind of person you got to love. You don't like what they're doing, but you love them. You love them enough to confront them in their foolishness. With that love, and with truth to bring them up out of a silly condition. I love like that. I am a very good example of that kind of love. I'm not blowing no horns for me. Because if I were any different than I am, a lot of you that are here right now would be dead. Yeah. You know, when a man gets power and got people who will obey him, that's the biggest test in his life. You don't misuse another human being because he will give allegiance to you. People have tried to kill me. Hated me with a passion, spoke evil of me long, hard. Some of them right in here now. I don't even remind you of what you did.
Okay.
Because I knew that if I kept going, I would win you. I knew you didn't understand. As long as you don't try to harm me, you know, we'll work it out. But if you ever make that move, I can tell you straight up, I wouldn't need the FOI. I'll come and get you my damn self.
That's cat. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
I'm not getting in shape for nothing. I'm getting in shape because I expect something and I intend to do my part. Do you understand?
Love it.
Beware of a lamb that turns into a lion. There's not a Muslim that has not taken so much abuse that if we ever cut loose, God help what is in the past. The black man is a storm of pent-up rage. If we cut loose, many of us would die, but the enemy won't be happy. Not at all.
I come from a family, if a nigga named Mohammed show up, mama, grandmama didn't trust him.
First of all, R.O. Double said Cat Williams' brother. That's hilarious. Because she's right. I ain't even thinking about that before now, but she's right. He looked like that fool.
So, real quick, even before you get into whatever statement you make, let me salute you, brother. Because I was just about to give him some knocks that would essentially give him a boost. You know what I mean? And you called me out for that even before the video started. But in listening to it, like every question I had, the minister kind of answered.
Didn't he?
In the duration of the video. Right? And I want to be like the minister said, you know, I love that kind of a way.
Right.
I'm going to love you enough to allow you to be until you see the error of your ways.
Right.
But I struggle with that. I struggle with that immensely.
God ain't through with me yet, fam.
Right? And I got a question. Is that a feasible strategy sometimes? Right? And how do you correct somebody that's being rewarded for their ignorance? You know what I mean? And, you know, even outside of what the minister had to say, let's just erase that part of it. You know what I mean? He said, I'm a Christian. I like Cassius Clay, not no Muhammad.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And my I said this before when we was talking about this guy before, like his understanding is rudimentary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, back to the symbolism with no substance, or being famous for being famous. He's speaking to a whole tribe of rudimentary learners because the cream has reached the top and there's no more coffee left.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a total reset that we need. You know, even when I think, I think we was having this conversation yesterday. I might have been having it with somebody else this morning. I'm not sure. But when you think, and I was this morning, like when you think about, if you go back and you research King, or you go back and you research Malcolm, and I'm talking about light research, YouTube research, you ain't got to read nothing.
Right.
You understand? And just watch them have interviews with media and watch how they joust and readjust.
Exactly.
While still not dropping their flag or
it's the footwork.
Capitulating.
It's the footwork matching the hands. And so everybody see hands punching, right? They hear the words coming out, but you not. The footwork is what you're missing. That's what's really winning the fight. How do I pivot? How do I respond to this? How do I reposition myself in this particular bout, and then refire? You know what I mean?
Right. But one, just like the analogy you just made, right? There's a skill attached to having footwork when you're throwing punches.
Absolutely.
It's not innate.
No.
You got to learn that. You got to practice that.
No.
You know what I mean? So when you see Malcolm or the interview we played with Stokely, or, the other day, right? Those guys are immensely intelligent.
Yeah, their footwork is impeccable.
Impeccable.
You run across natural punchers sometimes. Some people are natural punchers. No one is a natural technician at the footwork. You got to learn that. You got to master that piece. Otherwise, you're gonna get knocked out.
But in their mastery of that, it allows them to communicate a message.
Yeah.
Without having to capitulate or stand down. Right? So today, though, we don't have masters. We got people who got lucky throwing a haymaker one time, and they become the champion.
Right.
Until they're not the champion no more. But they can never readjust. So whenever they're in the ring with a skilled fighter, they're going to get their ass whooped.
Yeah, because I can cut the ring off on you, and you can't get out of that.
So in my effort to love through, like these kind of guys, and he's just the guy of the moment.
Sure.
Right? We got these specific kind of guys right here in the midst of us in our own city who've made splashes and waves and got a lot of attention. But at the core of their movements is a basis of ignorance.
Sure.
And in a lot of ways, because I'm going to say this, right? Their gumption is admirable, though.
Absolutely.
Right? And because of their gumption, they are able to attract a level of affinity from certain demographics. Specifically, a demographic that wouldn't traditionally pay attention to that conversation at all. But they leading them astray because they don't know where the hell they going, and we got to find a way to cut through that conversation.
Yeah.
And the best way I could think of to doing it is to invite them brothers to have a dialogue.
Well, for sure.
Right? But them brothers avoid the dialogue because of the arrogance of the understanding that, hey, man, these people listening to me. Just like the minister said again in the speech he just gave, right? To be a man with power and to lead them people astray is the worst thing you could do. But it's also being a man with power and managing that power. Right? And anybody that threatens that power because you only operating in ego in the first place,
right?
You're not going to allow that to happen.
But also, you're aware that you just standing here punching, right? You're very aware when you are just standing here swinging wildly, hoping to connect, versus when you are a trained technician, and so you're not finna really step into the ring like that, versus another trained technician. Now, if you can just turn a camera on from wherever you are and throw your punches, that's more comfortable for me. So I can sit in the comfort of my own car, turn my camera phone on. I have a following, so people are going to come listen to me, and I just throw my punches. Nobody's punching back at me. No, there's nothing required of me here but to keep throwing wildly and hope something lands. And I do that enough, and I talk for as long as I talk with the freedom of which that he speaks and how he goes about it. Eventually, one of those punches are going to connect. You know what I'm saying? Swinging against the air. Eventually, he's gonna connect like that, but he's not gonna put himself in a position where he knows the footwork ain't there. The issue is the fans, the crowd. Nobody's watching the footwork no more. It's like they're in the ring, but it's cut off. Like you can't see through the ropes.
It's that Nintendo game. The boxing game is just the head and arm.
Right, you can just see up here, right? And so he punching, but you don't see that there's nothing. There's no foundation there. And ultimately, you put yourself in a position where you're going to get knocked out. But even more importantly than you getting knocked out is the damage that you've already done just by sitting here swinging wildly. Like you're not making no points, but you're sending people's eyes all over the place, and nobody's really learning the value of the foundation. You know what I'm saying? I've been speaking before, right? And for one reason or another, I completely lose myself. I forgot where I was going, right? And I either lose place in my notes, and I'm not gonna stop and literally flip through, or something. And now I'm just standing here, kind of punching wildly, hoping that something just lands, and then I get back on my square. But it ain't the same as when you actually got it together. You boom, boom, boom. You're not delivering it the same way, and it also doesn't stand up to scrutiny the same way. And so when somebody cuts you off and says, "Hey, question about this, that, and the third," you're like, you don't know. But that's also why you don't put yourself in that position. So he'll go to one of those shows where, it's just him and the camera, and they turn the camera on and talk. That works. This other thing don't work. So I personally don't think you're ever gonna see him come and talk here. This ain't that. I don't think that's a conversation that he would want to have. And I think that, even the responses that we've gotten to those invitations or requests from the joint show, the responses that we've gotten have been reflective of that. Like you don't really want to come here. You know what I mean? Appreciate the response, but you don't really want to come here. And there's a reason for that. He's aware. Yeah,
it just irritates me though, man. It irritates me, and it irritates me because it works.
Nobody's focused on the important thing. It's just listening to those punches. I mean, watching those punches, hearing those words come out. It's like, no substance don't have to be though. It's not how we move with anything. So there's no. We can't expect them to move differently in that level when it's real surface at every other level. If that's where we at on our daily life, that's what we're gonna be at come election time. That's what we're gonna be at come back to school time. That's what we're gonna be at come whatever. You know what I mean? That's where we are.
I want to run this other clip too.
Sure.
See what you think of this.
About Colin Ferguson, the man who shot a Jamaican black male who shot 6 people on the Long Island train. Mr. Muhammad speaks.
Where they set black inmates up in these jails and penitentiaries, and in particular there in Nassau County, and pulled all the black officers out and the black inmates so they could jump on Brother Colin Ferguson because they were mad with him for catching the Long Island train and killing all them white folks. I love Colin Ferguson. I have no official position, so I can say I love him.
I can say it.
I love it. You love a man who randomly killed 6 people on a commuter train?
I love Colin Ferguson just as much as the masses of white Americans love General Schwarzkopf, General Westmoreland, General Patton, General MacArthur, and Eisenhower. America awards her killers, and they get ribbons and stripes and bars. I'm sensitive to the pain and suffering of the loss of life on that train, but I'm one of the rebellious slaves. And so when black people stand up out of pain and suffering and frustration, I understand after 500 years.
You also...
What up, though?
Hey, you with my ass, though?
You talk about about the response of some African Americans to, for example, the book which attempts to prove that the Jews are involved in the slave trade. I'd be happy to let them see that. You talk about when white folks can't defeat you, you said in your speech at Kane, they'll always find some Negro, some boot-licking, butt-licking, buck-dancing, bamboozle, half-baked, half-fried, sissified, punkified, pasteurized, homogenized
Stop me when I lie.
that they can trot out in front of you.
You see that white lady face?
I would ask you, Mr. Muhammad, is Jesse Jackson a boot-licking, homogenized nigger?
To the best of his ability, I believe he tries every day.
Come on, man!
Here you are mocking Jesse Jackson at a speech, I believe this is Howard University. Roll the tape.
Oh, boot-licking, buck-dancing, scratching, shuffling, messy Jesse Jackson. Who keep I am a somebody. I am a somebody who keep hope alive. I am a somebody. I don't rightly know who the hell I am, but I am.
Wow. Somebody. He wilding a little bit. You know it too. I was wilding a little bit.
Are you an entertainer, or are you a committed person to black people?
I'm so glad you asked that question. I believe that the liberation and salvation of the black nation must be brought about by black people gaining a thorough knowledge of self after our 500 to 6,000 year Holocaust, where we have lost over 600 million. And so I believe that that education process must be a process of two steps: inspiration and information. So I seriously give information, but black people are a people of rhythm and spirit, so I also give inspiration.
From your speech at Kane College in 1960, Chief Luthuli, the head of the ANC, received a Nobel Peace Prize, you reported to your audience, reminded them, for nonviolent struggle. Yes. Just like Mandela just received it with F.W. de Klerk. How could you stand with your oppressor and your enemy and receive the Nobel Prize for nonviolent struggle? You do not support, then, Nelson Mandela's strategy in the struggle to free black people in South Africa?
Let us first of all be very clear here, Phil. Nelson Mandela is my brother.
So is Jesse
He is a member
Jackson.
of the family, and so is Jesse, and Jesse is a very brilliant man. We just want him to return home and stop being used by the enemy and the oppressor against his people. Now back to Brother Nelson Mandela. And certainly we can never mention
footwork.
Nelson without mentioning Winnie
That's
Mandela.
footwork. You try to punch back, I move,
Nelson
bop, bop.
Mandela's attempt at a multiracial government in South Africa after the murder of men, women, children, and babies, and the rape of South Africa, a criminal settler colony that has been established like Israel there in that part of the world. I cannot go along with one man, one vote. Let me say why. If someone broke into your home, Mr. Donahue, and actually bomb-rushed your home, and Black Boot stomped your door down, and came in and robbed and raped everyone in the household, and was able to take the wealth of your home and parlay it into an empire. This is an invader. This is an intruder. This is a murderer. This is a burglar. This is a criminal. So you have no responsibility to share your home with them after they broke in and committed the crimes that they did.
You want, you said about South Africa, we give him, that is to say white people, 24 hours to get out of town by sundown. That's all. If he won't get out of town by sundown, we'll kill every white that ain't right that's in sight in South Africa. We kill the women, we kill the children, we kill the babies, we kill the blind, we kill the cripple, We kill them all. We kill the faggot. We kill the lesbian. We kill them all. You say, why kill the babies in South Africa? Because they're going to grow up and oppress our babies, so we kill the babies. Are you seriously presenting yourself as a man interested in the future of your people with this kind of rhetoric?
I'm just as interested in the freedom of my people as I am in the self-determination or the Kujichagulia, self-development, them being self-defining, self-respecting, and self-defending. If the white man has killed millions of our people, and you cannot deny the undeniable and indisputable and irrefutable truth, fact, proof, and history of their bloodshed there in South Africa. I said it would be merciful if they would leave. I don't agree with a government, a sham government. No man walks out of prison after 27 years and becomes the president unless there's a script and a plan behind the scenes to remove the economic sanctions from whites in South Africa, but no real plan for redistribution of the wealth. The Oppenheimers, the De Beers, and others there sucking the blood of our people. So I said, be merciful. Give them a period of time.
24
Truman gave the Japanese a period of time, but when they didn't comply, he dropped the bomb on men, women, children, and babies.
They don't like the mirror, though. They don't like the mirror.
I make no apology for that statement. I believe that the invasion of South Africa was an act of unprovoked war. One nation against another nation, and nations must fight for the self-determination. They had no business there, Mr. Donahue.
Yeah.
They had no business there, Mr. Donahue.
Yeah. Yeah, that part.
So, Khalida G, I rock with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I rock with it, one, because a few reasons. But mostly what was most important about that is that that's midday television.
Yeah. The gumption.
Right? But we say gumption, and I'm not denying the gumption of it either, but
yeah,
that was normalized. Those conversations was normal in my childhood. I knew those guys was on Donahue on that day. The minister was on Donahue that day.
Mm-hmm.
Those people was on television. This is
prime
television.
Yeah.
Regular television.
Yeah.
Right? And I knew that was happening. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think my experience was special and probably different than the average experience in my community.
Mm-hmm.
But I could go to the final call on 79th and legitimately talk to the minister.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I spent Saturdays in Operation Push. These was like normalities in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that energy at today? Anywhere.
It's been bought, sir. I'll pay you to stop acting like that. Or I'll pay you not to be another one of those people. Be like this. And I can elevate you. I can amplify your voice even. Just don't say that. Say this.
You ain't amplifying my voice. You amplifying your voice.
Yeah, but I just bought you, so your voice is my voice.
Yeah, I just, that's. So I was riding my bike before the weather changed.
Mm-hmm.
I played some early hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, I don't necessarily ride to early hip hop like that. But I was just tripping at how many times I heard the word fag just letting Pandora play.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus, man, you don't realize.
Some people got rid of a term in like 10 years.
Like you never hear that on the record today.
No.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You never hear that on the record today. I was watching Sadiq and Cassie show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the sister was talking about people who stink.
Mm-hmm.
The person they was interviewing. And she said, I don't want to aroma shame.
You can't say they stink.
Can't say somebody stink.
It's aroma shaming now.
It's aroma shaming.
You know what I'm saying? No, you stink.
Fam, you funky.
Please wash your ass, please and thank you.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, man, it becomes so politically correct that you don't even have an opinion.
No. Certainly not one that you can express.
Not at all.
With any freedom or comfort.
At all.
Or without fear of being canceled. This is fearless right here. You know what I'm saying? Brother Khalid is fearless in what he say.
He is. And I rock with him, right? And it's a lot of people that rock with him. But even in that, like he was like, ooh, that's that footwork.
Mm-hmm.
his footwork don't compare to the ministers.
It's not close,
right?
But he's also putting on though.
That's true.
So as much as I agree with a lot of what he's saying, I applaud a lot of what he's saying. I respected the approach. He's also putting on. And I think when they played the clip of him talking about Reverend Jesse Jackson, even when they came back, he had this like kind of like smirk on his face, like I was clowning. I was wild. I was wild a little bit right there. But it is what it is. Brother Slim says Khalid, no shade, but he was one of the few dark-skinned NOI spokesmen. Sorry. Few dark-skinned NOI spokesmen.
Mm-hmm. Which could mean a lot too.
Yeah.
Right? That could say a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That could say a whole lot in a lot of different ways. You know what I mean? But my point is that was primetime television. Right?
Yeah.
We are a generation that lives and breathes on the internet. We don't even watch television like that.
Yeah.
The internet has no barriers. You're producing your own segments of whatever conversation you want to have.
Mm-hmm.
And you scared that the HR boss is going to see your page.
Oh, yeah.
Right? This is prime television.
Petrified.
Right? And that energy, though, created a level of balance in our communities. Right? So you might have the GD to the world blow up guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? But several of my friends did stints in and out of the nation. Right? Several of my friends find themselves trying to find God through different mediums. Right? And they would bring that information back to the neighborhood. And I'm talking about 15, 16, 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it brought a level of exposure to our conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Shorties ain't doing that no more. They ain't exploring them avenues no more because they don't even know them avenues exist.
Nah, that's what I'm saying. Nobody's putting it out there. Nobody's being that person. Nobody's having that type of presence around. And so you're not gonna see that because nobody's presenting that. And so where would you even be able to get it from? You know what I'm saying? But I just know that when you see that type of thing like on TV and you can just see the reaction of the white people in the crowd in their face. I mean, these are angry faces, dog. Like, you know he's touching the nerve there, and as angry as they get when Donahue plays a clip from him and what he's saying, you don't see that type of reaction once he responds and says, "Well, what about how y'all been killing and raping and pillaging and murdering and robbing?"
Because the conversation ain't never right or wrong in the first place. It's power.
That's it.
And powerless. That's it.
We can do this.
Right?
You can't.
So it's easy to demean you because you are supposed to be in this powerless position.
Who are
And
you?
when we put the parameters on what power is, you're supposed to respond how the powerful, us, say you're supposed to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And when he turns that on his head, whether it be him or the minister or whomever, right? Again, that's that joust, right? You don't have a response for that.
Mm-hmm.
But for him to be able to turn it on his head, one, you got to have the information, right?
Right.
You got to be able to articulate your point.
Right.
Right? You have to have something to stand on. And the vast majority of us right now, because we're not getting that exposure, because we're not having those experiences, we don't have that information. Like Roland could get on TV the other day. Like with the reference that Khalid had for Jesse, today in this generation, I think Roland takes on that character. I think he's a foul character in a lot of ways. And it's to maintain his position. Right? Now think about that. Roland has been on CNN. Then he went to, I can't think of the name of the black television station or the pseudo-black television station.
TV1.
TV1.
Yeah, he's on TV1.
And now he's on the internet.
Right.
Right? You don't have those parameters on you when you're producing your own product on the internet.
Right.
So there's either some truth attached to you or you're creating this kind of a caricature for some other kind of gain. Right? But with that being said, there's a flock of people who follow you. We could leverage, this would be the equivalent of Roland had, we talked about this too years ago, but he had, what's the brother who was opening the Frederick Douglass School? I can't think of his name right now.
Opening
Umar, Dr. Umar.
Dr. Umar Johnson? Okay.
Roland had Dr. Umar on. And Umar embarrassed him. Made him look like a fool.
Yeah, because it's not the same. It's a different caliber. Even if he ain't right. I'm not even talking about who's right and who's wrong. Just in combat, it's not the same. Roland Martin can't do that. You know what I mean? He can't pivot and counterpunch like Umar can. He just don't really have that ability.
He don't have the testicular fortitude.
Yeah,
I don't deem Roland as being stupid.
I don't think he's stupid.
He just don't have the testicular fortitude to stand on something. Right? So he's capitulating. And whenever you capitulate, because it's not rooted in or anchored or it's not stabilized, all a real fighter got to do is hit you with the right punch and you're going to fall down.
Yeah, Roland is also singularly informed. And what I mean by that, if you will, is simply that he's only informed about his point, right? The side that he's trying to argue, he can give you all of that. He's not as informed about the other side. And so when you counter, he's not really able to respond in an effective manner, right? He kind of tries to get back to his point. It's like, nah, listen to what, like you don't have a response to this piece because you're not ready for that. If you're going to be a boxer, yeah, I'm working on what I'm doing, but I'm also studying my opponent to understand what he's trying to do as well. And, that's what I mean when I'm saying he's not able to block, move, and counterpunch in the same way that Dr. Umar can. It's just not, they're on a different level in that way.
Yeah, but again, in a lot of ways, Roland represents security for the monarchy per se, right? The guard in the front of the institution, right? And this goes back to the conversation of values, though. So many of us just want to be inside the institution, even though if we was watching the same conversation from a logical standpoint, I don't care how you specifically feel about Umar Johnson.
Right.
In that conversation, he made Roland look like an idiot.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But you wasn't listening for logic.
No.
You was, whatever team you was on,
that's where you was at.
On that team before the conversation got started.
You didn't come here to find the truth.
Right.
You came here to have your side proven. That's it.
Hence, that's kind of how the entirety of the world is operating in this space, right?
Never let a small thing like the truth get in the way of you winning an argument.
That's why you got 7,000 cable stations. Because whatever truth you want to hear,
we got it for you.
There's a station that caters to that.
We got it for you.
Right? And that's just, you never get any resolve like that.
The truth can't be that widespread. The truth is the truth. It ain't 17,000 different versions of the truth. You know what I'm saying? It could be a couple, right? You know what I'm saying? And we can find the middle, but it ain't that many different truths. It ain't 4,600 genders or whatever the heck they saying. You know what I mean? 60 or whatever it is. Like, nah. The truth is the truth. And we can try to play it on something else if we want to, but that don't really change the facts.
But imagine a guy that only tunes into Fox Media, Fox News.
Yeah.
Right?
Your dope catered to you.
The messaging he's getting all day long, every day.
It is your dope catered to you specifically.
Getting one kind of messaging. Right? And then, even though I know we don't have necessarily the station to compare to Fox for black people, we don't have that.
Right.
But let's say we did, and let's say it was the Khalid Muhammad kind of a conversation, because in a lot of ways, that in my mind, that would be the opposite end of the spectrum for Fox.
Right.
Right. How could those dudes ever have a conversation rooted in trying to gain some resolve?
They're not trying to. Like if all you're trying to do is prove your point, you're not trying to find the truth here. You were convinced of the truth as you see it before you came here. And this ain't about getting to the truth. This is about just proving your side of it. And it becomes, instead of a fact-finding mission, right, it becomes just like court is, right, where court is allegedly supposed to be this fact-finding process. It really ain't, okay? The defense already has their fact. The facts as they know it are what they are. The prosecution's the same way. The facts as we know it are what they are. We ain't changing them. Ain't nothing over the course of this entire process gonna make me change them, the side I'm on. So we ain't fact-finding. It's just I'm trying to win. And, when you're trying to win, you never let a small thing like the truth get in the way. And that's it. Johnny Cochran didn't really care if OJ killed that white lady or her boyfriend. We ain't here for that. The truth ain't got nothing to do with this. I'm trying to win. So, yeah. Did he kill them people? Probably.
He didn't kill them people. It's a documentary. He didn't.
We saying like you know
his son killed him.
We saying like
he didn't kill him.
We saying like Fish raised Wink he didn't kill him or
No,
like
he didn't kill him for real. Didn't
like he really didn't kill him.
He really didn't kill him. His son killed him.
Okay,
but OJ didn't kill him.
Okay,
I was thoroughly convinced after the documentary.
Okay, I don't even care.
I don't either. OJ was jumping over luggage in the airport saying he don't really rock with black people, so I don't give a shit what.
I don't really care. My point is, that's not what it's about for most of these people when they show up to these types of, interactions.
So that leaves us with one other option.
Mm-hmm.
Then if we standing on what we believe and we got to be right, because it's only about who can convince you of right, then it only leaves us with one option. That one option is go to war, because nobody's going to give up their position of power.
No.
Right? And so we can't go into court arguing what's right because we coming from a powerless position.
Yeah, you don't have a right in this. Okay? You don't have a right. You ain't never had no rights, period. But you don't have a right in this thing in terms of morality. We determine that. And if in the middle of this very process that we're here for, we determine that we might be on the wrong side of it, we aren't going to pivot our stance.
We'll change the rules.
We're going to change the rules. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to reverse what I think. I'm going to reverse how this thing works. And that's just that. So just like we've been talking about with Larry Hoover and Jeff Ford and them, for the past couple of weeks. Okay, we got y'all here in court. I believe that you are a drug kingpin and a leader of a violent street gang. Okay, cool. I'm innocent until proven guilty. Prove me guilty. I can't really do that. But what I can do is come up with a new law that says I don't even have to prove it. I heard you did it. There's a conspiracy that you've done it. You conspired to sell dope. Go to jail forever, fam. Forever. And then even when you is 3/4 across the country in Florence, Colorado in a Supermax.
And 87,000 years old.
And 87,000 years old, because I control the media, I'm going to put a front page article on the biggest news in your hometown, biggest newspaper in your hometown, to say, he's still running the gang. We can't stop him.
A gang that doesn't even exist anymore.
Gang that doesn't even exist anymore. We cannot stop him from calling the shots in this gang. We got him locked up 23 hours a day in a Supermax. He's 137 years old. He's calling the shots and getting people killed on the south side of Chicago. Cut it out. Cut it out. He's not doing that. Yeah. Like, he's not doing that. The effort that will have to go into him being able to do that just ain't even worth it. Like, nah, man. Stop it. For real.
Yeah, but again, that energy, the energy of the minister, the energy of Khalid, those energies, if we don't find our way back to them, I don't know how we raise up a warrior class that will prepare themselves to even not just necessarily go to war physically, but come back into the lexicon where they can publicly joust like that and create that warrior spirit, raise the frequency of the warrior. Because that works, right? That works. That level of gumption, that level of kahunas. In the show that Salim was doing with Natalie, he talked about Islam. I said this the other day. And how it had this kind of a gumption that inspired masculinity in youth, right? Which is why they could kind of build the kind of rapport they can in the prison systems. This shit is identifiable. It looks like power.
It does.
And men desire that.
We do.
You know what I mean? So all this docile shit,
it ain't
gonna move the needle.
Nah.
It ain't gonna never move the needle. The Baracks, not gonna move the needle. The Van Jones crying on TV ain't gonna move the needle.
You doing what they want.
Elevating them people to them conversations.
Because they do our deeds for us.
Even Charlamagne with this is Mental Health Day. Like, think about how he's changed over time. I'm being serious. I'm so serious though.
I know.
Right? Think about how he came to the conversation. He was obnoxious, arrogant, didn't give a damn. Now as his star is shining as bright as it possibly can, his whole tone is very different.
No, you
Let's give each other a hug.
Yeah.
That's a strategy.
Yeah, but but they've also used it to look like growth and elevation from Charlemagne,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it looks like he's just evolving and growing as a person, and he's, more enlightened and more educated and what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Not for real. But as I elevate you, it looks like you're growing. And so now other people look like, oh, that's what evolution looks like. Okay, evolution looks like me calming down and, capitulating in such a way that is unrecognizable to my former self. And I'm all for growth and evolution and, becoming more well-rounded and more enlightened. All of that is good, so long as you don't lose sight of your North Star. And I think that is what happens when they try to elevate these people. Those people lose sight of their North Star, and then they influence other people to assume that this other thing is now the North Star,
The value asset.
right? And that is
For
where
being famous.
yeah, that is where the trick really begins to work well. When we got a few minutes to break, but when we come back, Ready Rock wants to see a video, and so does RO Double, and they both sound intriguing. One is Wendell Pierce on Donahue. Wendell Pierce is the actor who played Bunk in The Wire. I told him to send the video clips to your messenger, so I don't know if they got a chance to do that or not. But if they did, we'll get to those in the 5 o'clock hour because both of those are going to be powerful pieces too. So it was Wendell Pierce in another video from Brother Khalid too. But I think that all you can do, again, is just be that person that you are. And so when you sit here and you have truth tellers and you hear Celine, and you hear Ready Rock, and you hear Sister Natalie Moore or Toussaint Warner, like, tell the truth in that way, that's what we can do. Continue to tell the truth in that way. And we can't worry about why it is that these other more timid, more passive voices are amplified in a way.
That's what the minister said in regards to that Charleston White mashup video, right? Man, I'm just keep pushing my cart down the road, and eventually you gonna see. I respect that, right? But
Sure.
I think that's a skewed view of the board. I think we got time to just keep pushing our cart. We got to do shock treatment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It has to be some kind of a shock treatment. So, although I respect both of those guys immensely, in regards to my strategy, I don't think that would be it. We up against a different kind of demon at this point.
And have been for a long time.
True. And maybe in their era, they thought it was a different kind of demon too. I don't know. Right? But when I'm looking at the totality of the board, right, outside of just the confines of what it means to be a black man in America, what it means to be black people in America, what it means to be poor in America has a different connotation today.
Absolutely.
Right? We're moving into this space and place where greed is at an all-time high, right? Just if you just do the math, right? We've not moved the needle in regards to our economics since 1963. Now we have this elusive idea that we're doing so much better. But if you think about this, how we think about black life or black existence in 1963.
Sure.
Right? Don't none of us want that.
No.
None of us.
No.
You know what I mean? But in a lot of ways,
that's what
we're living that exact existence.
Yeah.
That's how strong the illusion is.
And that's also, like, many of those ways of being is exactly what we need to be hearkening back to. Right? In terms of the community, in terms of the connectivity, in terms of how families operated within their own family structure, right? Just in terms of working together and everybody kind of being connected in a way. We just call each other to check on each other every now and then now. You know what I'm saying? We're not really intertwined. We're not really interconnected in no real way. We're not cooperatively working in any real way.
Man, I talked to one of my cousins yesterday. I was so excited. I thought the boy was in the joint. I ain't heard from him so long.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
We just called just to check them. But they, like, back then, they were actually working together because it was necessary. And, you know, as it became, at least as it appeared to be less necessary, we stopped doing it. And I don't know how you found your way back to that space when.
But it goes back. But it's all poverty induced though, right? It's, again, that's what I mean. We need shock treatment, right? The game is changing as we're playing, but as we're playing, the game is adjustments being made.
Right.
right?
Right.
So Candace sent me something the other day. She was like, "You always talk about this too."
Mm-hmm.
It was like a meme, but it was like, y'all talk about family. He was like, these little kids don't even know their cousins.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a statement that I've always made. Like, ain't no Thanksgiving no more, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to meet up with no whole family no more because can't nobody afford to feed all them people no more. And it's the more and more we reap the consequences of poverty, the more disjointed we become, right? And then going back to using the analogy of Levenger and the analogy of 1963, one thing for sure that we had was communities and family. If it was just by force.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If it was just by force.
It wasn't the one thing we had. It literally was the one thing we had,
Yeah.
right? It was the only thing that we had.
Yeah.
And so
It was
we
forced
valued
to
it.
be segmented into this part of town.
Right.
Forced to be segmented to shop here.
Right.
Forced to be segmented to go to school there. So in essence, it was forced to build community.
All of our interest was focused on how do we make this place that we're forced to be in as good a place as possible. And so everybody knows each other, and everybody works together, and everybody looks out for each other.
Now, that was by force, right?
Yeah.
But check this out. So instead of saying niggas can't drink at this water fountain or niggas can't shop in this store, right? If you ain't made no movements on the trajectory of finances going up since 1963, they ain't got to put a no nigga sign here no more. You know what they do? They put a price tag that they know no niggas can afford. You can't come in here no more. You can't live. You still segmented to the same concepts.
No, it don't have to be no niggers allowed. It could just be nobody with less than $1 million allowed. And it says the same thing.
Bronzeville now.
It says the same thing.
$700, $700,000 for this house. Yeah. And we know that the number says 60% of y'all don't make 50 dual income.
Right.
You can't live here, B. The black belt of Chicago. You can't live in the black belt. Welcome to Gary, Negroes. Welcome to Gary. But we going to find ourselves in Gary without the construct of family or community or none of that because we operate under the same illusion, right? So, again, there's this need for that Khalid Muhammad energy. There's this need for that young, virile minister energy. There's the need for that Stokely energy, that Huey energy. There's a need for it.
It's necessary.
It's necessary, right? And you get the energy, per se, in the Charleston White. You do. He's audacious, talking shit. He doing all that.
The energy is there.
But dumb is a box of bricks. Yeah. And you see the dummies following right behind him, like, let's go. So, I want to show love. I'm not trying to knock dude. I want to show love, right? So, in that vein, I don't want to doo-doo on him completely. I would love to have a conversation with him and help him grow. Introduce him to some conversations. Pass some books along the front, right? Maybe that gumption and that following that he has will become valuable because he now has a reference point of understanding. And I'm with that. But until we do that, if they're only operating in that space off ego because of the fame and the visibility they're receiving, can't grow.
No, you can't grow. But I'll tell you what, there is a glimmer of hope just in that you see people following him. And what they appreciate about him is that energy, is that gumption, is that I don't really care what nobody thinks about me. This is what I have to say. I'm going to say it. Right? People value that. People appreciate that. People follow it. People want to be that even if they aren't willing to. And that's the point I was making about AI earlier. Right? People was following him because of his gumption, because of him just like, I'm going to do me. Right? It wasn't that AI was all that smart. He was a gifted athlete. Right? He wasn't all that smart. He blew through his bread. He was chains and this and 100 people entourage at this and we going, you know what I mean? So it's not that he was all that intelligent. I'm not saying he was dumb, right? Just where his mind was in a different place. But people just respect the fact that so much that he keeping it real. He being who he is. Okay, cool. Now, can we put some substance to who he is? Can we put some intelligence behind that piece, right? And I think that is where the brother Charleston is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got the gumption to come up. You showing up to the press conference with your Timbs and your do-rags on. Great. You got on 7 chains at the game. Great. All right. How do we channel that energy and put it in a place that is more productive than just you blowing through 100 mil or whatever else? You know what I mean? And so, there is a silver lining in the energy, and it's a silver lining in that people follow that energy. I think that part of it is valuable. It's just what are we doing with it? Energy that's leading us where? To what end? Let's take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side of the 5 o'clock hour. We have an hour left on this Thursday edition of I Said What I Said. My name is Herb. His name is Tu. We'll be right back.
WIIFTBPM.
WIIFTBP. Media's just for you and me. WIIFTBP. Media's just for you and me.
The Chicago Legal Network is the collaboration of attorneys that concentrate in many areas of the law most needed in Chicago neighborhoods. The CLN lawyers focus on personal injury, criminal defense, and other issues. The CLN lawyers all average over 20 years of legal experience and are dedicated to helping the Chicago community. The Chicago Legal Network is committed to developing black lawyers through mentorship and co-representation. So if you were injured in a car accident, slip and fall, or injured on the job, or you need assistance with criminal defense, including driving violations and DUI, check out ChicagoLegalNetwork.com for more information or call 773-912-3545. 773-912-3545.
Chip on my shoulder, big as a boulder. From all the years I've been doubted, left out, and simply looked over like niggas ain't see the massive potential. I see murder weapons, wall, you seize a pad and a pencil. I do for self, I learned you worth more when you ask for nothing. Thoughts of killing shit, my brain's a weapon of mass destruction. Nuclear thoughts lead to atomic verses. Me and Max attack with a common purpose. I stole them niggas, you stole out your mama purses. You bitch niggas been disloyal since KB Toys. The streets gave me poise, no Melvins, just a bunch of Rodneys and baby boys. Listen, I'm not the one that you should try your luck with. Get abducted, fucked up, and then left in a rusted bucket, biatch. Sick train of thought, only y'all can conduct it. Just when they thought I was dusted and not a touch, I adjusted, and bounced back like I had Spalding on me. I am God, the clouds open, now the sun's rays is falling on me. To the heavens is calling on me, my shit gon' be elite. Your shit is mystery meat, you say it's beef, but it's all baloney. And fuck these niggas and all they homies, they all is phonies. I'm riding till the wheels fall off this bitch and it's stalling on me. It's alarming these rappers think that we all in the same ballpark. Fuck y'all thought the disrespect is appalling. Standing over the witch's cauldron, concocting murderous plots to help me further my spot. Guess you can say I'm stirring the pot. Heard a lot of niggas think they fucking with the overlord or going overboard. Potent dope that's smoke from vocal cords. The key to success is possessing a gift that can open doors. Therefore the flow is nasty like infected open source. You a knight in rusted armor, equipped with a broken sword. Throwing rocks at a fire-breathing dragon, provoking wars. These is more than rhyming words, my nigga. I'm no thesaurus, I'm too complete for you to compete. My shit deep as the ocean floors. But yet I'm barely scratching the surface. Trust me, it's more to come. So motherfucking hot, I ignore the sun. Imagine if Yvonne Thomas ignored the conscience and chose to abort a son. We never would've got to bear witness to this historic run. It's effortless when I spit these descriptive works of art. I hurt your heart with these harsh realities till it burst apart. It's feeling like I'm about to have a great year. I take the fear and hate here and turn it into Shakespeare, motherfucker. Fuck you, man, bitch. Fuck me, making niggas think they can fuck with me. Stay with a small circle to ensure I stay sucker free. Peace to the niggas rockin', those that truly got love for me. To the women that be lusting me, they dreaming of fucking me. Lick your fingertips and rub your clit to this, and let my voice bring you the climax. My raps is more real than any 3D or IMAX. That speak on my city, you Chirac. Niggas love glorifying stupid shit, the useless shit in front of cameras, goofy capping, act as if you used to shit. With Max producing shit, how could I fall short? I hit the booth and get the kicking shit of all sorts. Listen, I'm just a product of the inner city. I remember plenty nights, there wasn't any lights and with no dinner in me. I
was in tune with the harsh realities of life at an early age. Was used to struggle at an early stage. That made me appreciate the small shit. So now I kick that off the wall shit that leave these rapping niggas all sick. They say jealousy and envy get you nowhere, so I'd rather not go there. These niggas panic when I touch mics, I'm Rudy Gobert. I ain't the type to talk jazzy while hiding behind the screen naming Abby. You pushing buttons or trying to get at me, huh? I'm John Wick with the shit, I'm killing everything.
That's why we shine wherever we go. We shine wherever we go. We shine wherever we go. We shine wherever we go, Lord, Lord. Welcome to the mind of a pothead. On my head, see a young nigga got dressed. We don't give a fuck what the cop said. I'm living a legacy, so even when I die, I am not dead. Nigga, I am not dead. Fuck with me.
What is happening, family? We are back and we are live from inside the What's in It for the Black People Media Studios alongside Toussaint Warner. My name is Herb Howard in the production studio. That's all. He's just in the production studio. His name is Ron Rilla. Oh, it wouldn't be right if we didn't mess with him, but that's kind of what we do. This is I Say What I Said. It is Intellectual Thuggery each and every weekday, 3 to 6 p.m. right here on the What's in It for the Black People Media Network. We are here and we are discussing issues impacting the black community with you. Thank y'all for being a part of this conversation. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. As always, your input is extremely, extremely valuable. We love being able to read through your comments and adding your perspective to the conversation. It is always insightful. It is always impactful. So thank y'all for choosing to be a part of this conversation, even though you could literally be doing anything else in the world right now. The fact that y'all are here with us is something that we greatly, greatly appreciate and do not take it for granted. So if you are watching on Facebook, you're watching on YouTube, you check out the show later. We appreciate you so very, very much. Thank y'all again for continuing to help this conversation spread and permeate through our community. We think it is a very, very important conversation. We think that it is a part of the necessary steps toward our liberation. And y'all's contribution to this conversation is not minimal. All right, it is critical. So thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to be a part of this conversation. We truly, truly appreciate each and every one of y'all. Two, you were talking about, and we were talking kind of tongue in cheek about, on the one hand, the term fag, widely used derogatory term for homosexual males specifically, in the 80s and 90s is almost obsolete now. And that's a good thing. I'm not saying that it's not a good thing.
What did you laugh at that? Finish your statement.
It's
man.
a good thing, and but it is a conversation worth having about how can one community get rid of a whole word, so quickly when we haven't had the same success with a particular word. One is because we use the word, right? So you never really heard homosexuals walking around calling each other fags. And so that's probably as big
No, they do.
Okay.
They call each other fags just like women call each other bitches.
Okay.
I'm not validating, but it happens.
Okay, cool. I didn't know. You live with him. I mean, close to him.
Homie, you on the east side. Stop right now. Stop. That's Mecca for that community.
Hey, the Jeffrey Pub been there my whole life.
That's the pub.
Okay? Jeffrey Pub just sits there. It's kind of like you kind of go past it without even seeing it. But it just sits there. It's always there. Anyhow. But no. But then you talked about how, you can't even say certain things. Like you can't even say somebody stinks no more. And earlier I think Shannon was saying I say stank at least twice a week. But it's just hard to now it's like I don't want to. What'd you say? What was the term? Aroma
shame.
I don't want to aroma shame you. Right? And so what I have to do is I have to subject myself to these staunch odors.
Because I don't want to.
Because I don't want to aroma shame
Let me tell
you.
you something, man. You ever come in here stinky? I'm aroma shaming you.
Aroma shame me, okay? Because people front you are always the first person to smell yourself. It wasn't somebody. Ain't nobody got to tell you stink, fam. You smell yourself. Furthermore, you know you ain't done nothing to not smell yourself.
Aroma shame.
Aroma shame. I don't want to aroma shame. Man, I'm aroma shaming. You smell
This goes
terrible.
back to the Chris Rock joke, G. We need bullies, man. We need bullies.
Need them.
We need them,
You
man.
need bullies.
We have become a nation of cowards.
It is the pussification of America, as they say. It's a real thing, man.
Pure pussification.
That is a very, very real thing, man. And that is just, yes, it is constructive criticism to tell somebody that you smell bad. Hey, come here. Let me tell you something. You stink. What's wrong with you? Right? Can I help you? Can I get you some soap, some deodorant? Like, what can I do for you here?
That's not how dudes communicate, though. And this is what I mean when I talk about the feminization.
I'm about to get in trouble after you make this point.
That's the feminization, right? Like, even me, you, even with Maze, right? The way we communicate.
Y'all don't tell Sadiq I'm eating peanut M&M's. I hope he gone.
He not going.
I know he ain't going.
He waiting for you to put that in.
I saw.
That's why I'm hiding mine with this computer screen.
Y'all don't tell Sadiq I'm eating peanut M&M's.
So, but
Cassie already got me in trouble with a fun-sized nigger.
How we communicate is, we kind of derogatory towards one another, right? But that don't mean the love is lost. You know what I mean? Women don't communicate like that, though, right? Every day, my son, people think his name is Stink. Little stinky dude, come here.
Right.
You know
Come
what I
here,
mean?
Stink.
I call my daughter, I be like, come here, chunky butt. Come here, fat girl. Right? Now, to them.
You see what, Sadiq?
To them, it's loving, right? Those nicknames from me is loving. You know what I mean? They don't see it in any other way. You know what I mean? It's no harm, no foul. You know what I mean? And it goes the same way with our homies. You know what I mean? My homies like, "Fat boy, come here." It happens all the time. You know what I mean? It's nothing of it, right? I would never say that to some random woman, though, because it would be a different kind of response.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So when you get into this changing of language, where you can't have certain conversations because everything is offensive, and now men are being offended as well, right? It's like, man, get your...
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't have that kind of patience to be like walking around those types of obvious things so as to not hurt your feelings. Excuse me, y'all, for chewing this M&M. I apologize. We don't have that. Like, I'm not gonna do that. Dance with you. Just like I was saying last week about I identify you as a grown man, and you tell me that you identify as, man, listen, I don't have time for that. Okay, excuse me, sir. Move over. Like, I'm trying to get past. Like, I'm not gonna do that. And same thing with you smell bad. You smell bad. Why do I have to deal with this? Why do I have to deal with this? It was this dude that I used to work with. Smelled horrible. Everybody knew it. Like, everybody.
But it's no rules again. It's that everything we gotta accept everything.
Yeah, but nah, fam. You need to go do something.
But that's the same thing I said about the ladies playing basketball the other day and the lady getting spit on. It has to be some parameters, G.
You got to do something. Miss Chavez, rest her soul, just passed away, man. She's my favorite teacher. She was my teacher in 7th and 8th grade at Bremont. Miss Chavez, she had like a little, I don't know, a basket in the back of the classroom, and it had soap, deodorant, lotion, powder, and perfume, whatever else was in that thing, right? It was a little hygiene basket. And she would just, if you was funky, she'd just go back there, grab the bucket, she'd politely bring it to your seat and say, do something. Just give you a thing. Do something. That means you take the basket, get up and go to the bathroom and come back when you don't smell this way anymore. Right? Nobody's gonna sit in this classroom on this hot day with no AC. Like, we're not dealing with it. We're not dealing with it. But now we expect to deal with it.
But we see, this is the difference between
because I don't want to offend you.
The genders, though, true. Right? We learn different. We hear different. We respond different. Right? My wife could be saying all kind of stuff to my son. She could be using curse words and everything. He gonna respond a certain way. I could look at him. And he gonna do whatever it is he think I want done.
That's Chris Rock. That's the Chris Rock joke. He said, I don't care what you do. He said, none compared to, I'm gonna tell your daddy. He said, growing up, it wasn't nothing you could do to a kid that was worse than, I'm going to tell your daddy.
That's it.
You could beat him with a stick. You could do this. I'm going to tell your daddy.
Because the nature of man is different than the nature of woman. I used to point out certain variables in how my children were like matriculating through life, right? When Eric took his first steps, when he found out he could walk, like it was not a minute later where he was running and crashing into the wall. When Bella took her first steps and realized she could walk, she tiptoed around the house for another 2 weeks until she was secure.
Figure this thing out.
I'm gonna figure this thing out.
I ain't gonna be right here busting myself up.
I'm not finna be reckless.
But boys gonna be boys.
It's gonna be different, right? I would take them on walks. He got to walk a block and a half ahead of me. Because I got to feel like I'm doing this myself.
I'm just exploring. Boom, I'm figuring this thing out.
Bella ain't letting go of me today.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So we just respond to the world differently. And that's natural.
Yeah, we gonna learn this thing on our own. We're gonna figure this thing out. Trial and error, whatever.
It's natural, man.
Yeah. I remember, I might have told you this story before, I don't know. When I was a shorty, man, living on 71st and Ridgeland, in the back of the building, there was this pipe that just kind of ran across the stairs. And we used to jump off the stairs and grab the pipe. Jump off like 34th step, grab the pipe, and just swing on the pipe. And one day my mama saw us doing it, and she told me specifically, because I was younger, like, don't do that. You're going to fall. I don't want to see you jumping off the steps to grab the pipe no more. Yes, ma'am. Okay. No sooner than she in the crib, right? Everybody else still jumping on the pipe. I'm jumping on the pipe. So I'm back on the 4th step, jump off the pipe. Gee, I jump off the step, grab the pipe, slip right off. Flip, fall. I don't know, 6-7 feet. Boom. Down to the concrete. Right on my tailbone. Boy, that pain shot up my spine. As soon as I could get off the ground, I got off the ground, ran dead in the crib, crying to my mama. Okay?
I ain't grabbing that pipe.
See what happened? What happened to you? I fell off. I was grabbing the pipe, and I'm like, oh, I just totaled myself. Okay? So now I got a pain shooting through my spine, but now I'm finna have a whole nother pain on my butt because I'm already not supposed to be on there anyway. I ain't getting no sympathy for the fact that I might be paralyzed right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told you not to get on the pipe anyway. Like, the natural consequence wasn't good enough. He got another one. But that was just, you know what I'm saying? That's how boys are. We got to figure this thing out.
Yeah, we learn differently.
Yeah.
You tell me not to touch the stove. Well, let me see.
Why not?
Why not? Prove it.
Yeah. We are why not creatures. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people are why. Like, why would we do that? I'm very much like, why not? You want to go to such and such tomorrow? Why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, just let's do that. It just is what it is, man. I think there's value in that. But I think it's the balance that you talk about all the time. It's about how do we find that balance. And so, yeah, there has to be a balance between, we shouldn't be calling people fags. But also, I should be able to tell you stink. You know what I'm saying? There has to be a happy medium in that thing somewhere. And so just like boys walking around busting their head all the time and trying to figure, that's stupid, right? We need a little bit of that explorer and fearless nature that the boys have, and combine it with a little bit of that, reason and sensibility that girls have. Bring those things together.
So we have this conversation in my house all the time. Because I use all kind of words that I shouldn't be using. And my wife has a tendency to tell me or look crazy at me because she doesn't want the children to use these words. And then I get offended.
Why?
Because these are real words and they fit. And I'm not in the paradigm that you
real
live.
Words?
Yeah, I don't live in the world that you live in. I don't live in that paradigm.
So
where
they say that's just symbolism.
That's what this is symbolism I find comforting.
It's a symbol of how pissed I am right now.
How about that? But it's just back and forth all the time. And one of the words is retarded, right?
Oh, yeah, that's one.
But retarded is a real word.
Yeah, but we rarely use it the right way, though. We say, like, you're retarded. Are they really retarded?
In a lot of ways.
like, has their mental development really been
saying
retarded?
You're challenged doesn't ring the same way.
No, just say that was stupid.
But then you're not supposed to say that either.
No, that's fine. I didn't say you were stupid. That was stupid.
Okay.
It ain't up for debate.
That's too much work. I know
that was stupid.
I'm not on that.
You retarded.
I'm gonna stick with what I know.
I was married to a special education teacher for a long time. Retarded didn't go over well, and I use it a lot. It was everything. That's retarded. It's retarded. It's retarded. I could be reading the instructions on the back of a box. This is retarded. What? Like, this is retarded. Everything was retarded to me.
Yeah, I do that joke.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's how this Chicago. Everything is retarded, and she hated it so much because some of her students was retarded. Like, and so or they got called retarded and they weren't. You know what I mean?
Everybody gets called retarded and they're not.
That doesn't make it right,
too. If
too.
we're going to be equal, you should be getting offended in the same way that I got offended.
All I'm saying is I learned.
If you're really handicapped, I should be able to talk about you like anybody else would talk about me.
Oh, listen, I say this all the time.
That's what equality really looks like.
I say this all the time. If I have kids, I am going to, like, my kids are going to enter the world fully prepared for every single asshole that is out there because they live with the biggest one. I'm on my kid head from jump. So if my kid comes out with any abnormality, I don't care what it is. Your foot go that way. You got 9 fingers. Your eye go that way.
I'm on you.
I'm at you, fam.
It's part of the game.
Well, if you don't get your weird eye face ass out of here, didn't I tell you go clean up your room? I'm at you from the time that you can understand what I'm coming from. I'm at you because what's not about to happen is I'm not gonna have you thinking, oh, it's all sweet, it's all sweet, it's all sweet, it's all sweet. Then you 6 years old, go to school, and then you finna come home to me crying about this every day? Nah, for them 6 years, I've already been telling you, fam, your eye is different from everybody else's.
So look,
Eric,
when Eric
get
was
used to
first
that.
born.
Don't make you less of a person, less smart. I don't love you no less. Your eye is different though. What you're not finna be doing is coming home crying about it every day because people finna be heating you. But it's cool because I've been heating you. You good.
Part of the game, you need bullets.
Get your club foot ass out of my face.
But when Eric was first born, he was a C-section baby. And his head had like a cone.
Mm-hmm.
Right? First day I seen him, I was like, well, I'm still gonna love you.
We're gonna give it a buck.
But you weird. You look weird, bro.
You look different from other people. And people are gonna notice it. They're gonna say things. Right? You don't have to internalize it. You don't have to, use it as an actual referendum on your character. You're a good person.
So Raudiv in the comments said special ed teachers have a lot of patience. So for his wife to be a special ed teacher makes a lot of sense.
What you trying to say about me?
You're retarded.
What you trying to say about me?
Hey, but I got this video pulled up. I want to see what this is about.
Which one is it? Is it the one that R.O. sent or the one that Ready Rock sent? Oh, it's the one that Pierce joint?
Yeah.
I think that's the one that Robin was talking about. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Hold on now. Something else up. Hold on.
You see, I'm trying to say you special. I am special. But I know it, though. I know I got issues and concerns. But it's okay.
We good.
I own them and I walk in them.
We good.
You good.
But you have to realize that, yes, the involvement of violence in black folks comes from that long history that the president was talking about, that we have to remember that we learned from some of the best. They had some white boys came over here that did the first beheadings in Point Coupee, Louisiana, where I'm from. Slave insurrection, that was the way you dealt with it. Tuskegee syphilis incident. We're going to see how black men die if they have syphilis, but we pretend we treat them with penicillin, and we're just going to watch the pathology of how they die. Now, that wasn't back 200 years ago. That was 1930 to 1974. We're talking about giving these wonderful blankets to the Native Americans infected with smallpox as they walked on that trail of tears just to see how they die and to eliminate their population so we can take all of that land. So the violence that is in America has come from a very learned position that was brought here by some Caucasian folks, all right? So now, when it comes to the NFL, when it comes to the NFL, you have black men who have taken advantage of this opportunity to go there. So for every 1, 2, or 3 that may have been in the news because of violence, there are another 2,000 that deport themselves as gentlemen, as husbands, as fathers, and as great professionals. So we must remember them also.
Okay.
So, but yes, people are responding to that. They see that image of that black man. One of the MacArthur Foundation fellows that just won is a psychologist, Jennifer Eberhardt from Stanford, who deals with racial messaging and inequalities that people is either learned or subconscious, that when you see me in a certain situation, you think violence. If they see you in a certain situation, people don't see violence. So the image of the black man being violent has been perpetuated for a long time.
Yeah, that's the truth. But like the minister say, black people don't have a history of killing white folks in this country. White people got a history of killing black people. You know what I'm saying? And like that, but we accept the narrative of the reverse being true, just because you don't control the media and they do, and so they can do that. It's just kind of how it is. Wendell Pierce, the brother who was just speaking, is one of my favorite characters from The Wire, and his character on The Wire was real smart dude, but he just kind of moved the way he needed to. You know what I'm saying? He kind of played the game the way he needed to. He understood all the corruption within the game, and as being a detective in the homicide, but he didn't really step out on that, right? He was like, I'm just gonna do my job the best I can. But I really liked his character in The Wire. I think he's one of the more underrated characters in that entire series was Detective Bunk Moreland. One of my favorite lines of the entire show, and this ain't got nothing to do with the conversation. It's just funny to me. He's sitting at the bar, him and another detective, Lester Freeman, who is absolutely one of my favorite characters in the show. And Bunk is trying to convince Lester about what he needs to be doing, how he needs to influence the lieutenant to let them go after this particular case. And he was like, "Listen, man, you got the smell of wisdom on you, man." He said, "Everybody on the team got a role here, right?" And so Detective Freeman said, "And what's your role?" Bunk said, "Me? I'm just a humble motherfucker with a big ass dick." And so Freeman said, "You give yourself too much credit." He said, "All right, Dan. I ain't all that humble." One of my favorite lines of the entire series, man. No, that's real. But again, to me, what I find most interesting about these pieces are this ain't history that these people don't know. You know what I'm saying? What are you saying? There's a microphone right there.
$2. Y'all need that jar. Y'all in there going crazy.
Yeah, we don't have the jar.
Yo,
it's probably about $10 need to go in there today. But we've been doing well though. We've been doing well.
But to the Wendell Pierce conversation, to the Bunk conversation, context is important. Mm-hmm. So I saw that live, and that clip cuts it off. It only shows Wendell Pierce's response, rather than the totality of the conversation. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of why I have certain issues with Bill Maher, right? Because he gets kind of heralded as like this. Well, not even heralded as. He comes off as, he's a liberal white boy. And in some of the conversation he makes very, very racist comments. And he never really gets called on them because of the branding of him being this liberal white boy. Right. He smoked weed. He like black women. Right. He Eminem. You understand what I'm saying? Sure. Oh, he good money. Royce the 5'9" is going to come save him. You know what I'm saying? Sure. And it's the same kind of thing with the Bill Maher joint. So whatever, I don't remember it verbatim, but Bill Maher was talking about something specifically around violence in the neighborhood, and when the peers responded, like, man, do you know who you are? Do you know where you come from? That's what that was. You know what I mean?
You really are?
But again, even that is part of the great manipulation. You know what I mean? They are acutely aware of who they are, right? Problem is, we aren't.
About them.
Yeah, that's the problem, which is why we aspire to being them, right? Somebody in the comments said we're not innately violent, inherently violent. I could agree with that with the concept and context of being next to the equator. I could agree with that. But we ain't been next to the equator. You understand what I'm saying? So violence is necessary in survival of any species. Right? We put this connotation on violence like as if it's unacceptable. It is a necessary thing.
It's a part of it.
Right?
It is
Nothing
part of the
quells
ecosystem.
violence but someone who's more skilled in violence with a superior philosophy around why he's inflicting the violence. That's it.
Only thing stop a bad person with a gun is a good person with a gun.
That's it.
Not some please stop it person.
That's it. Okay. Power concedes nothing without demand. That's it. Right? So even when we hang our hats on certain monikers, like, well, we're not inherently violent. Well, we should be.
Better learn. Whether it's your nature or not.
We better get there.
You got to nurture something into
because it's part of the design of survival.
Yeah, but I just don't, again, G, one of my biggest issues with the entire way we move as black people in this country is that all of the disciplines and lessons that we learn growing up in the hood and we apply them in the hood on a daily basis are the same disciplines that would serve us well if we applied them.
But true,
to
because
this greater fight.
like I hear that, but that ain't necessarily true either. Because I've been thinking about.
In what way?
I've been thinking about something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole bunch of people from my neighborhood who really wasn't from my neighborhood.
For sure.
You know what I mean? It's a whole bunch of people who was from the hood but was less involved in the hood than I was involved in the hood.
Yeah, you just live over there.
You just live.
You have an address over there.
You didn't have the experience.
You don't be outside like that. You don't walk to the store. You don't.
My son is from 051, but he ain't from 051. You understand? The moniker that the little boys from around my house got, he could get it because he got the address.
Right.
But he don't have no understanding of the experience.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and because of the kind of guy he is and because kind of how that plays out, like there's a level of esteem that's probably attached to that. Like how dudes be like, I'm from Inglewood, I'm from, because it makes them feel some kind of way.
Right.
Right? But really, unless you was one of the active members of what was happening in Inglewood,
You wasn't. You know what I mean?
ain't really, you can't hold that way.
You just held your breath to and from school every day.
That's it. You have no experiences over here. You ain't really part of this environment like that. You know what I mean? And again, going back to the minister's conversation, the pimps, the hustlers, these are the best of thee. These are the best of us. If you can clean them of the garbage that surrounds them.
They are
But
the ones that
reason
have
they
found
the
a way
best
to
of
navigate.
us, because they are engaged with us. Right? It's the analogy I make about coaching that team that my son played on. Mr. Warren, I can't go outside. But these private school children are going to go to elite high schools and elite colleges and come back and be representations of the black leadership.
Sure.
With no relationship to the black community.
No.
They're going to be Lori Lightfoot.
Yes.
Pratt Winkle. It's the same thing.
Yes. I went to high school with all these people.
You did.
Yeah.
I went to grammar school with them. I know.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing.
Wow. 100%. I think that, you just have to, you just got to understand, because, and I don't want to be completely dismissive of the experience of just having the address, because even just to go to and from school over there or go to and from the corner store, if you're allowed, you get some experience in that, right?
Bruh.
Not the same. You're not in
know nothing about 51st Street, brother. Not a thing. Not a thing. You understand me? And I ain't making that to, shun him.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not from 51st Street. We live there. Right? But in order, I ingratiated him in Roseland in that kind of way. He plays sports in Roseland. He's in Roseland.
Right.
He's over there with me. He moves freely around there because that's really my neighborhood. 51st is where I live as an adult. You know what I mean? And it took me a long time to be comfortable and allowing him to move through there and navigate that community by himself. But in context of saying I'm from 50, he got more right to say he from Roseland than he does to say he from 51st Street.
Right.
He got greater relationships in Roseland than he does on 51st Street.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So even though in the lexicon of what's happening in the city today, for shorties, they know what 51st Street is. Young Money started on my block. They know who the Young Money boys is. Right? So if he was looking for clout per se, I'm from 051. But no, you're not.
Nah, not for real.
Not for real.
Not for real. I think there's, like, when you're able to move around the city in a certain way and you're able to get into different circles, like me and Cassie just made some connections as we were transitioning in and they were transitioning out. Me and Cassie just connected some dots amongst ourselves that I didn't even realize before, right? And so me and Cassie, I don't know, we've been knowing each other since, I want to say like 2015, right? Around that time. And all that time that we've been knowing each other and working together, it never dawned on me that I knew Cassie when I was like, let's see, what grade I had to be.
Real quick, I just want you to know how you can always tell when you're wrong is when Todd is agreeing with you in the comments.
What did he say? That is true, Herb. You can feel the vibe of your neighborhood without being in the mess that might be happening. See, Todd? That's what I'm talking about. Let him know, Todd. Let him know that you was a real street dude.
Yeah.
Growing up, all right, let me stop. Now, I'm just saying there is some, there are some things you can pick up on just from being associated with. But
so you rolling with Todd?
There are some things you can. Yeah,
I can't wait till Monday.
We're making the same point. We're making the same point.
No, I'm just messing with you.
I think he's using my point to validate his street cred that may or may not exist. But no, I'm just playing. But no. So I was probably like I had to be in like I want to say like 6th grade, and that's when because Cassie graduated from Whitney Young too, but she graduated 6 years before I did, but I was around the school. Probably like I was around the school probably like from like 97 when Whitney Young won City in 97, then when they won State in 98, I was always around that team. And as Cassie was telling me about her time there, and I'm just naming some of the guys that I knew and some of the girls that I knew, and she's like, yeah, I used to be, she's like, you was around that team? Like, yeah, my brother was there. Like, who your brother? Yada yada yada. And she was like, I was a cheerleader, and as soon as she said that I was a cheerleader, an image of her just came back to me, like I could like vivid as day. Her. And I'm like, damn, that was you. Like, and we make these connections like, oh, you know this person, you know that person, I'm like, yeah, I know all of them. I know Nicole and I know Cynthia and all them other cheerleaders that was on that cheerleading squad too. And it was just, you make those little connections. What?
Look at Salim Gump.
What do you say? Wow, the woman next to Wendell Price is Joanne Walsh, contributor to a book in which I also contributed. Appeal to Reason. Sorry to be so Gumpian. The Black Forrest Gump, man.
He was there.
He was there. He was there. If it happened, Salim has a connection to it. Not like, oh, I heard maybe somebody. No, like I was like there. Like I was. If you look over there, that was me. Or like everything. Like, and not like old people just be lying to you. Like how you meet more people in Chicago now that tell you that they was here when Dr. King came to speak. Although we know that only 17 people showed up to that thing, right? But here it is in 2021. You can meet 5,000 people that swear they were there. Salim is like there for real. Like, no, my book is there. It's me, my name, my video. And I did a song in Hong Kong. I was like, you did a song in Hong Kong with some random country just performing on stage? Like, it's Salim, man. All hail to King, man. Honor and respect to King Salim. He's the genuine article.
The genuine article.
He's the genuine article, the Black Forrest Gump. I walked the same streets today as I walked 45 years ago.
I was just going to ignore that.
On the boss, let him know you ain't out here playing with these fugazi. Let him know.
Monday can't come quick enough.
Let him know, Mr. President. Okay? Let him know.
That's right.
Listen, you got Jeff Ford, Larry Hoover, Todd Stroger.
I didn't even talk about it from that vantage point. That's you. So I want to play. They sent this other video too, and I want to see this.
Yeah, I want to get them in. If they send it, I wanted to get the other one in. So if it came through, let's get it popping. Oh, you got it ready?
Yeah.
All right, we good.
Ahmed, we want to thank you very much for joining us here on New York One.
Thank you, Brother Dominic.
I hope this is an opportunity for you to express your views. But also, frankly, there are some very serious questions that you need to answer.
Hey, Ron, can you turn it up a little bit?
Go back to last year's Million Youth March, the first one that was held here. Now, you claim to be a leader in the African American community. But what kind of leader tells thousands attending a rally in self-defense if they touch you, take their guns? In other words, what type of real leader advocates violence when there are thousands of young lives at risk?
The Bible speaks of the Good Shepherd. And the Bible says that when the wolves attack the sheep, attack the flock, that the Good Shepherd is a responsible shepherd, and that shepherd works indeed to protect the flock from the attacking wolves. I notice you said in your statement that it was a statement in self-defense, and certainly in the Second Circuit Court and the Court of Appeals, Judge Chin and the higher court determined that my words were indeed words spoken in self-defense and self-defense only.
But what kind of leader uses those words when there are people's lives at risk?
A strong leader, a bold leader, an uncompromising leader.
And then the type of leader that as soon as the stuff hits the fan, he leaves.
Well, you know that I didn't leave, but you are playing the devil's advocate, as you do so often. You're sitting here in the place of the white man, saying what the white man wants you to say. You've seen in the newspapers, in the Post, in the Daily News, me in the middle of the police and the security holding me back. It was impossible to leave. I've even heard the lie that I left in a white Mercedes-Benz, which was early in the morning at 9 a.m. when I went to Federal Express. The police froze all vehicles behind the stage. No vehicle was allowed to leave that day. And as I faced the Klan and Texas dragged our brother to his death, that is the way I faced them that day. And it is a propaganda scheme to say that I turned heels and ran, and I understand it's up to you to make sure that that gets out.
But let me backtrack for 1 second. You've started with, I'm here in the white man's shoes, and I guess you're headed with the Uncle Tom.
Do you work for New York One?
I do work for
Are you being paid for this interview? Do you get a check, sir?
Is that the best shot that you have, the Uncle Tom line?
I didn't call you Uncle Tom, but
you said
you said it better than it could be said. You are here indeed. I believe you are a professional, but I do also believe that as a professional, you have a job, you have a duty. And I don't believe that you are a reporter first in the way that you have presented yourself to the community, a reporter who reports fairly. I believe that before shouldn't be a reporter first. You are not a reporter first. You should be black first with the responsibility. What kind of reporter would sit up and keep telling lies? What kind of reporter would try to confuse his people for a paycheck?
Well,
can you answer that, sir?
Again, I'm here to ask the question.
But can you answer that?
They don't like the mirror.
Again, one other
They don't like the mirror.
Minister, I'm not here to answer the question.
What kind of
I'm here
reporter
to ask the question.
Put out false reports, sir?
I don't
You're
put
my
out
brother.
false.
I love you, but don't do this, brother. Be a strong reporter. Be a revolutionary reporter. It was Paul Robeson who said the battlefield is everywhere. And so you must battle on the battlefield at New York One.
Police made the move last year to shut down the generator. But you had to know. You're a very smart man. The city was not going to let you go 1 minute past 4 o'clock. Can one reasonably conclude that you were looking to spark an incident, possibly to spark a riot?
Emphatically no, sir. I was not. And I appreciate the credit that you have given me. But I did indeed believe that there would be flexibility at the end of the rally because they had promised flexibility. And they had said that there would not be strict adherence to the 4 o'clock. So as you know, and I've heard you say, I had finished speaking. The police attacked an otherwise peaceful rally that had already concluded as I told our people to go on home in love and unity to their families. So I guess to some degree, sir, I did not believe that they would attack at 4 o'clock or 4:01 in answer to your question.
Are you going to honor the 4 p.m. deadline tomorrow?
Indeed, I will honor the 4 p.m. deadline on tomorrow.
Are you willing to vow that you or your supporters will not call for violence tomorrow under any circumstance?
No, sir, I am not. We believe that by the grace and the power of Almighty God and our ancestors, that we have a God-given right. We have a human right, and according to white constitutional law, we also have, according to white constitution, a constitutional right to believe in peace if possible, but violence when necessary. Everything in nature, sir, will defend itself. We should not be the aggressor. We should not be provocative, but we should defend our men, our women, our children, and our elders, as Judge Chin said, in self-defense.
So you're telling me here now that you're...
What do you think, too?
I think I love it. Right, but I think it's also very telling, though, too, right? He said you're here in place doing the white man's job, right? And even just in that, the dialogue right there, just in the dialogue, right? Even in the body language, my man there holds a position at whatever newspaper, right? Context is important, too. Let's say this is today. You held a position at the Tribune in our community where 60% of the population with dual earning incomes don't make $50,000 a year. What are you in that community? You're leadership. You're the leader that you're the elite of that community, right? And people will leverage you as something of aspirational, because ain't much there to look up to,
And thus they will follow.
and thus they will follow, right? But you could just see in the body language there, man's a coward.
Yeah.
Just in his body language.
You could see it.
Just in his body language.
Those are two different men.
Two different dudes right there.
Like you got this one man standing in his full polarity. Right, wrong, whatever. He's standing on it. You got this other dude who in his heart of hearts knows that what this other man is calling you out on is absolutely true. He didn't call you an Uncle Tom. You did. He didn't even say that. He said, well, I didn't say that, brother, but, if the shoe fit, put it on, fam.
And the shoe don't fit. Uncle Tom wasn't. See, that's about that misguided information again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Uncle Tom wasn't the Uncle Tom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But
it was clear, right? And it was also clear that he had fully adopted this white way of doing things, right? Because when he held the mirror up to him, he did the same thing all the white people did. They don't like the mirror, fam. So when I tell you about your lies, when I tell you about your misdoings against our people,
this ain't about me, this about you.
It ain't about, I'm asking the questions here. I don't have to answer any questions. Why not? Why don't you have to be held accountable?
Assumed power.
I'm on the side of these white folks. I don't got
false sense of bravado.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But think about how many people that is in our community, right? Football players, LeBron, super huge humans. They are superhumans.
Real spill.
Right? But they always cower in the face of real intellectual power.
They do.
Because they don't have any. You know what I mean? I heard somebody say the other day that intellects run the world and everybody else carries the burden. So if you don't want to carry the burden, you better get you some information.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's that back and forth jousting. That's that back and forth dancing. You know, if you don't want to carry the burden, you better get you some information. And obviously, even in the context of this conversation, the reporter wasn't able to joust because it was a falsified. Again, it's like I said, they're not anchored in anything. They're not rooted in anything.
No.
So the minute you back into them in the corner, just stand up. Just stand up to it. And you can't breathe.
Nah, because they know that they just flailing at the wind here.
That's it.
I can't connect, right? And so Ready Rock was pointing out the footwork from Brother Khalid in the video. Like he's footworking all over this man. Like there's a different thing. You can't come back. I'm prepared for this, right? I am prepared for this. I know what you want to do, right? Not only do I know what I want to do, I know what you want to do. And so I'm able to respond to that thing. I'm able to move my feet, cut that off, bop, bop, and stick and move again. I can do that to you. But also my punches are hitting harder than yours. Even these little flailing punches that you are landing, they aren't really doing any damage, fam. Like I'm able to eat those, readjust, and counterpunch every single time. Like I don't know.
But see, for me, the only context or the only reason why we would even be having these conversations is to like compare and contrast to how media gets played and leveraged today. Right? And the difference between this conversation, the totality of this conversation, is that reporter has no power to take anything away from Brother Khalid.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Right? And truth be told, the reporters that LeBron talks to has no power to take anything from LeBron.
No.
Right? But their attachment to the public and his attachment to the dollar amount that's attached to whoever's backing him, right, has him operating in the space and place of fear. And I'm only leveraging LeBron because he's the most visible player in the NBA. But it's really, we could just pick a name out the NBA. Because they all moving in concert with LeBron.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And they move in concert with LeBron because they all are based in the same construct, whereas the dollar decides. Right? The dollar decides how much authority I have in my life. How much authority I have in the words I leverage. Right? The dollar and my level of intellect. You know what I mean? I'm not able to move like the minister. I'm not able to move like King. I'm not able to move like Stokely. Because I don't have the information. right? So I carry the burden of fear of putting my foot in my mouth, right? And I also believe what this institution has taught me throughout the duration. So when they say, well, you didn't incite violence, they can't back it up with no understanding how violence works.
No, again.
So you're right. Everybody should be peaceful. That makes you a slave, bro. The lack of information forces you into slavery. Forces you into it.
Unless it does. But when I have the information and I'm committed to it, then I'm standing on what I believe in. And once I'm in that space, you can't strip me. There's nothing you can take from me. And so while dude is working for New York TV 1 or whatever it is, he is beholden to whatever their desires are. And so that's what's hanging over his head. Why this whole interview, right? My job is hanging over my head. I can't handle this thing. I can only go about this a certain way and keep my job. Whereas Brother Khalid, like, ain't nothing hanging over me, fam. I'm gonna say it how I feel it, right? And not to say that everything he says is right or whatever, but I'm going to say it how I feel it. You can't even do that. And then he disarms you even in the middle of the fight. I love you, brother. You know what I'm saying? I love you, brother. I'm just saying I want you to come over to this side and stop doing things that are detrimental to your own people. And that mirror hurts. That mirror hurts when you're forced to confront the fact that I am, like, not only being complicit in our own demise, I am actually bringing it about. You know what I'm saying? I am spreading that message. Like, that's a tough pill to swallow when he put it in your face like that.
Does it, though? Does it hurt, though?
I think it
you
did. I think
comfortable
you
going home with that paycheck.
Obviously, he's comfortable. That's why he's doing it. But I'm saying in the moment, you could see his raw reaction to it. You could see how flustered he was. You could see how he's moving around in this chair, how he's sitting up, how he's, you know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, Brother Khalid, I'm calm as can be, fam. I'm relaxed. You out here throwing all these wild ass punches. I'm bop, bop, bop. You know what I'm saying? It's Ali on the ropes. George Foreman is throwing everything I have at you, sir. Everything I have that I think is going to knock you out, I'm throwing that at you. And I am a heavy puncher. George Foreman hit as hard as anybody that's ever thrown a punch in their life. That is what white media is. And so they throwing as many punches at you as they can. They can't believe I can't knock you down with these punches. Whether it's Brother Khalid, whether it's the minister, whomever, right? I'm throwing the best punches I have at you, and all you sitting here calmly just eating these and throwing punches back that I can't take. They don't like it. They don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us revel in it. I think we do, right? I think of when Barack was running for president. I think of the kind of rooting that Reverend Jeremiah Wright has in our community, and for the amount of time that he's been rooted in our community, right? And I think of how when Barack threw him under the bus, forced or not, how many of us roll right with it? Because it was more important to have that representation of whiteness than somebody who had given their lives.
Somebody who's still standing right next to you. He on 95th.
He's been in our community from the grip, right? And I'm from 95th, so I know how that impact was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not even a church dude, but I knew Reverend Wright.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to me. And that's an extreme case too, because it's Barack and is running for president. But it don't happen much different when the guy gets or is trying to apply for a job and has to abandon his homie on the block for whatever reason, because he doesn't fit into the branding per se of what that life might be. You know what I mean? And it's just it's really disheartening because it creates a paradigm where anybody, specifically in this day and age, right? I just said those two when we played the earlier clips, and they was both on Donahue. Well, Donahue was primetime television, right? So that gumption, in a lot of ways, whether you agreed or not, being on primetime television, one looked as if, or created a feeling of as if this had value, right? It's almost like the same as seeing an NFL player or they're being the child watching that saying, man, I can get to Donahue like that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it validates that conversation. Whereas today, you don't get to the mainstream like that. Not as no man.
Mm-mm.
You don't get to the mainstream showing up like a man in that polarity. Now you get to the mainstream as a man for a few other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One, you could throw a ball or catch a ball or you could wear tights and heels. What other representations do we have on in the public lexicon of black media? And I'm being real.
I know you are.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I just name me one representation of black media that stands in a man polarity. Anybody that's in news or anywhere. Even the guys they talk to, right? Even when Bron.
Mm-hmm.
Bron is what, 6'8",
260.
260?
Mm-hmm.
Wearing short sets and purses to the conversation, to the microphones.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Russell Westbrook, same deal, right? Just talked about Charlamagne. He's on media every day, right? We can go down the line of who's on CNN, and they flat out didn't say, "Hey, this is what I'm on," right? So where did we get to the context of men being men that are getting that kind of black men specifically, right? Because even the ones who are that kind of stereotypical, quote unquote, alpha male, they come into the podium with purses. And I'm not judging their sexuality. I ain't judging nothing. I'm just saying what the image says.
Sure.
Right? And then you have that other extremity where they damn near dress the same, but the other guys are open homosexual. You know what I mean? But the imagery looks very similar.
Same thing.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Even when you look at the youth hip hop, anybody that ain't 30 years old, they wearing tights basically. You know what I mean? They wearing tights. Again, I'm not judging. You know, you can say, hey man, it's a style or whatever, but it's not. It's a strategic move. It's not just style. It's strategic. Just like we thought it was just style for us when we were wearing big clothes and gold chains.
Big crazy baggy clothes.
Right.
4 times
but
too big.
But it wasn't just a style. It was a conditioning too. Right? It was in the conditioning to attach yourself to a criminal and criminality idea. You know what I mean? And we still carry it out today because we've been affected the same way.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But even attached to that criminal and criminality thing, it was a level of gumption and audacity attached to it.
Right.
This generation doesn't have
taking that out too.
It's taking that out too. And again, like I said, that coffee is you keep pouring cream and eventually you don't have coffee no more. We're at the tipping point where man is not almost non-existent because there's certain value attributes that you just have to show up, certain polarities that you have to show up in to ever reach certain levels of manhood, or we got to redefine and understand what man is.
Yeah, masculinity isn't even a term that's been allowed to stand on its own for a couple years now. It's always been prefaced with toxic. Like, I don't know when the last time I've heard somebody just use the term masculinity. Like, it's toxic in however it shows up. And I don't know why that is. I do know why that is. I mean, but I don't know how you can come to that conclusion, right? There's a need for masculine energy on the planet, period, right? Like it just is. Whether you're talking about restoring order or maintaining order, like in the elephant example you often give, or we talk about in the black home.
But see, this is where we get to the conditioning though, because there's masculine energy here. It just ain't within our group, right? These white boys is training their sons to be malicious.
Yeah.
You understand me? They breaking down guns and they know how to fight.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. In my day and even before my day.
Look, Kenosha white boy.
Right?
Masculine
my day and before
energy.
my day. Right? If you was a brother and you let a white boy whoop you.
Oh, you got to wear that forever.
You got to wear that, G. That's embarrassing.
You got to wear that.
Like, you let a white boy whoop you, G?
Ignorant as that may be.
Ignorant as
that may be. Like, there's plenty of white dudes who will put hands on me, right? But the thought was,
that ain't happening,
white
fam.
boy with you?
That ain't happening.
What?
That ain't happening.
Yeah.
Now you got Kyle Rittenhouse got enough gumption to say he gonna stop a whole city from riding.
I'm 17.
One boy.
Me and my AR going up there to get things straight.
Yeah.
Okay? We're going to get things
And
straight.
white boys responded to that too. They thought they were supposed to lose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my mama going to take me.
Yeah.
Okay? That's how committed they all are to it.
It ain't even committed. They don't have any fear no more. They know you wearing purses, bro. You wearing come on, dog. You're not gonna whoop me. You're a coward. And I'm not. Again, this ain't judgment on the purse game.
But it is representative. Like I look at it, and it concerns me just in the thought of what was happening when I was standing outside like that. Nothing was happening that these skin tight jeans would be conducive to me wearing out here. Okay, we might gotta run, we might gotta hop a fence, we might gotta stash something in these jeans. Like I can't do that in spandex, fam. So I don't even know how. Like, what y'all even out here doing?
And again, right? We was conditioned in the same way.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
And a lot of this failure is on us, but it's
going a different direction,
the
though.
Power of the media.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
The power of the media is something different. And it can legitimately dictates thought and behavior. And we'd be foolish to think it doesn't. And if we acknowledge that as a fact, it's 6 o'clock, I know.
Yeah.
But if we acknowledge that as a truth,
Lil Ron ain't got nothing to do.
then why would we think that the war is predicated at these borders? It's going to stop at these borders. I'm going to use everything at my disposal to destroy you in every way that I can. Like, it's funny, man. Y'all read the 48 Laws of Power. Don't even acknowledge that as, I can't stand that book. But y'all read it. It's a popular book. It's a #1 bestseller. It says in the book, one of the rules, one of the laws of power is crush your enemy completely. Why you think I'm going to stop anywhere?
Completely.
Why you think I'm going to stop anywhere? So when we get out here and we wearing these monikers of toxic masculinity and supporting white feminist ideas against our own people, right? How do we end up or line up on both sides of that spectrum? How are we the poster child for toxic masculinity and flaming homosexuality all at the same time? How is our community, 12% of the American population, the poster child for both of these negative energies in regards to the male spectrum? It's insanity, bro.
It's different, man. It is different. Salim said even the sisters wasn't trying to get whooped by white boys. Like, they wasn't even accepting it. You know what I'm saying?
It ain't happening, G.
Now, we got people. We got 80-year-old Asian dudes calling us all kind of niggas. Actually, what you gonna do, punk ass?
What
in
you
your
gonna
face?
do? To a young boy.
You got 90-year-old white ladies
This
spitting
boy,
in our face.
1920. Me, 1920, I wouldn't have had no control of myself.
It's over with, fam.
You would have had to catch these hands.
It's over with. It's up there. And
he was Asian.
Okay.
He the most docile symbolically. You
Right,
understand what I'm saying?
right.
Stereotypically.
Right.
And my man was like, oh, I want no smoke. I couldn't imagine me being in that position.
It's off the chain. It's up there. As soon as you try it, it's up there.
Nigga? An Asian? Oh, no. Oh, no.
What we not gonna do?
What we not gonna do?
Okay.
Oh, no.
In life, you have things that are gonna happen. You have things that might happen. And then you have things that are absolutely not going to happen. What is not gonna happen? This little dude gonna pop up in my face, calling me all kind of niggas and this and that. Tell me what I ain't gonna do.
Couldn't fathom that.
You ain't a man. What you gonna do? Shut up. We gotta go. We'll be back here tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Y'all make sure y'all get up real early for the Ruthie Moore Show at 6 a.m. Stick around for the Book of Dawn. Then hang out with the brother Torre Mohammed. He will take you right into the soil, right onto the soil with the big. Shout out to Eugene McIntosh. Shout out to Terrence Tomlin. And then we'll be back here at 3 p.m. for Ron Rilla for Tucson Warner. My name is Herb Howard. We'll catch y'all tomorrow. Until then, y'all be good to each other. Peace.
WIFTV PM.